Hello my profane friends, how are you? Having a great day, I hope. Right, got a great little stream going here for you. Look, now remember this video from yesterday. I'm going to go through, you know, if you haven't seen my yesterday video, that was number 87 I believe. I'll tell you in a minute when I go to the page, but look at this, watch this. This is what it's about. Remember, this is what compromises all your governments, all your towns, all your cities. Watch. Dude in the background, look, see it? There it go, look, bang. Yeah, and people know, you know what I mean? People are telling you, you know what I mean? That's what compromises your towns and your cities. Do you know what I mean? On every level. Anyway, let me pause that. Okay, and you can see that on my wall, or Trudy Verstengen's wall. Very good, yes. Anyway, let me move along, and then you've got this woman. Look, she's telling you the same thing. Look.
Removing track and trace that they spent £30 billion of money on that did.
See?
They spent £37 billion of money on that didn't fucking work.
See, again, you can find this on my wall. You know, she's on my wall. You know, and this is part 2 to number video, and obviously look. Look this up, Scotland child trafficking, yeah? Do you know what I mean? Again, look this lady up. Her name's MJ Mandy McGurk. I hope I'm saying that right. Look her up and add her. She'll tell you about Freemasonry. You know what I mean? Again, look, expose Scotland, yeah? Because it's happening in every town and every city, yeah? Now this is part 2. So part 80, this is part 88 I'm now doing. And so you need to watch part 87 because this is like part 2 for 87. All right. Spam goes to commence community standards as per usual. So anyway, that's that done. Also give a critic of Tavistock Institute, the mother of all theories. Now this guy tries and debunks it, but it tells you how people, you know how they experimented, the Germans or whoever, like experimented on crowds of people. Do you know what I mean? And how to manipulate them. Do you know what I mean? So give this a look because that is worth a little watch. Do you know what I mean? I got that link off my little friend there. Also, I'd like to just show you this. I don't know if anyone's heard of it. The Portdown Death Ruled Unlawful, yeah? Which is where they sprayed, or were doing, the British airmen went into secret nerve gas. That was a test done on, you know, profane people by the Ministry of Defence. See, they don't care so long as they experiment on you. And then we can take that one further. There was 45 deaths. Do you know what I mean? And that's the government, Ministry of Defence, yeah? Do you know what I mean? But you can read up and research that yourself. And again here, look, Ministry of Defence test of aerial spraying over Norwich, and that's my local. Do you know what I mean? Spraying us up, you know. But again, read up on it. That's there. The research is there. Do you know what I mean? I thought I'd just show you that. Go down here. We'll go back to here now. And now I'm going to show you the Knights of the Golden Circle, which I was going to do yesterday. The Freemasons that set up lodges within the French, you know, the prisoners of war, and how they got special treatment, of course. Because they tell you, do you know what I mean? These Freemasons tell you. And at the end, I'm going to play a ritual. That's the 3 Bristol rituals workings, yeah, in the last video. And I'll just let that run. And if you don't want to watch that, I'll obviously, before I start, I'll tell you, you don't have to watch it. Well, you don't have to watch any of this, to be honest. But in my last video, which is the number 87, look, this is the Masonic yearbook for 2013, yeah? And I was showing you the Masonic yearbook for, this was just the province of, I can't remember, what was this again? Wait there, I can't even read it. Northumberland or something. Northumberland or Northumbria. You know what I mean? I can't remember. I can't see it. I think that's Northumberland, yeah? Right? But anyway, so Masonic yearbook just for Northumbria, right? Now look at the size of this. Look at the size of the book. Yeah, it is Northumberland, yeah? Yearbook in 2013. Look at the size of that. And that's just Northumberland. You're not talking about Norfolk, Suffolk, Essex, do you know what I mean? And all the rest of them. That's just Northumberland. Look at the size of that. And that's all the Masonic army, that is. Look at how big that army is. Do you know what I mean? But there you go. Like I said, it's a big army in every town and every city. Now, if you remember, I show you Boba Fett when he comes past that monster, and he was doing the, you know, the sign. Well, here it is now. Look, here's the Freemason sign. You can get it from any of their books. Do you know what I mean? And that's, you know, hand of a heart. You know what I mean? Clenched fist. Again, it depends on the way you salute, and who you're saluting to is the way you hold your hand. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, I see the open palm, fingers clenched like a lion's paw, blah, blah, because you're going to tear your heart out, you know what I mean, if you spill the beans or whatever. Now, I posted that number 87 yesterday, and look, this is what they did. Look, we're having trouble with completing your request. Please try again. So already they're shushing it up on 3 groups I posted to. Do you know what I mean? So already my video of yesterday, 87, is being shushed up again. Do you know what I mean? Because I posted to 3 groups, not just, well, hundreds of groups. And then when I try to thingy, look, we're having trouble with completing your request. Please try again. And then they want me to discard the post. Do you know what I mean? But obviously I didn't. Some of it's, you know, people, that it did go up, but a lot of it, what I was trying to share, just wouldn't have it. You know what I mean? And the thing is, how can you tell the truth is being told? Facebook blocks it, Twitter bans it, Google hides it, and YouTube deletes it. Government censor it, and the media never mentions it. That's why you never speak about the Freemasons. Shh, don't mention the Freemasons. And they do all the hypnosis, you know, and crowd control of, oh, Freemasons are good. Do you know what I mean? That's all they keep spilling to you. We're good, we're good. And while you're looking at their good deeds and their good acts, they're doing all the corruption without their aprons on. Do you know what I mean? The signs, the signals. You know what I mean? Look, we're a special little gang. Here's a little sign. That's a profane man. You know, we can stitch him up. Do you know what I mean? And that's why you get nowhere in their courts or, you know, with the police or anything else. And also yesterday, if you remember, I walked around the church, okay? And here it is, look. In hoc signo vinces, okay? Which is Freemasonry. And that stands for, how can I not remember what it means? Oh, never mind, I'll do it. Oh, like I said, I know I've got so much stuff going around in my bloody head. I'll remember it and that'll come to me. But this is the skull. That's Alpha and Omega. Do you know what I mean? And obviously you got the, I can't even remember what they're called now. I'll call them eucalyptus leaves. But they're not called eucalyptus leaves. There's something else. I can't remember what they're bloody called. But anyway, in this we will, that'll come to me anyway. But again, look, what I'm trying to say is, why have they got Masonic signage? And I'm going to show you more in a little while. Why have they got Masonic signage going around the church? Do you know what I mean? But you need to see the church video. I showed you yesterday. Now this geezer here, Bill Anderson, look, is a Freemason. What a complete load of rubbish. Looks like you decided to air your unsubstantiated views. And that's what they say all the time, Freemasons. They go, it's unsubstantiated. Do you know what I mean? Like Hungerford, Hillsborough. I'm trying to think of all the other things they're scammed and schemed. Again, that, you know, I could reel them off my head, you know, but when I'm talking on camera, it just like boom, it just goes. Do you know what I mean? Like my mind sort of blanks. But, you know, I normally know, and if I'm talking to someone, I can spiel it off. Do you know what I mean? Because it's not like thing. But when I'm on the camera, for some reason, things just go bang, and that's out of my head, and I can't think what it is. But that's what they go. They always saying substantiated views, or, you know, you're trying to stir up a conspiracy theory. Do you know what I mean? We're not to blame. You know, like they sank the Titanic. Do you know what I mean? But shh, don't mention the Freemasons about that. You know, and if you look at the conspiracy around that, because they keep calling it a conspiracy, you know, or whatever, it's a load of crap, and time goes past and it's all forgotten about. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, as you obviously know nothing about Freemasonry, or you wouldn't use Freemasonry and paedophilia in the same sentence. What a load of crap he talks. Do you know what I mean? That's just asking for a backlash from the society, idiot. And that's what they think. They think they're better than they're so blinded with these blinkers, yeah. They know exactly what's going on. Do you know what I mean? They know exactly what they're doing to the profane, but they'll deny it and deny it and lie and lie and lie. Do you know what I mean? Because I know, you know, well, before, I don't even want to get into it. Anyway, a backlash from the society. There is a connection between organised paedophilia and the highest degree, in the higher degrees, and there's witnesses and testimonies from around the world, which there is. That's a fact. Yeah, I take it you're a Mason then. I wasn't calling all Masons paedophiles, but you go and jump the gun with your pathetic threats, and that's what they do. They always threaten you. Do you know what I mean? You know, we're not saying everyone is, but they will cover up. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, any you know, like say we're bank robbers. You know, 6 of us that are bank robbers. Yeah, we ain't going to take some dude we don't know who's not trusted on bank raids, are we? Do you know what I mean? But if we know, you know, and we slowly indoctrinate someone into something, you know, which is what they do, you know, just try and bribe him a bit, see if he'll, you know, see if he'll buy some stolen stuff, and they know, you know, that's all a slow indoctrination to see how susceptible you are to their corruption. Do you know what I mean? And how far you're willing to go. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, like when I said the sheep ritual, yeah, that tells them if you're going to kill someone. You know, go watch the Masonic blood ritual. That tells them if you're going to be willing to kill someone for the lodge. Do you know what I mean? And like I said, they work the morgues, they work the you know, the funeral parlours and that. So you think that's not hard for them just to take a body, right? Take it to the lodge, right? Okay, now the geezer, he's coming in, he's blindfolded, he doesn't know what's going on. Now he stabs that, but instead of a sheep being there, they've replaced it with a body, right? Okay, a real body. So he's stabbing a corpse. He doesn't know that. Do you know what I mean? Because before they like put the corpse on the table, yeah, what they're doing, they're putting a warm sheep on there with a shaved chest. Do you know what I mean? He's feeling the heartbeat and everything. Do you know what I mean? That's why they shave the sheep's chest. Do you know what I mean? And he feels the heartbeat. He more than likely feels the sheep's nipple. Do you know what I mean? Because obviously the worshipful master's guiding his hand. Do you know what I mean? So when he stabs it, whether he stabs it or not, it's right and wrong. Yeah. But if he stabs the sheep, for instance, yeah, there'll be claret and blood all over the place. Someone's there with a bucket, obviously, right? Collects the blood, right? And then they move the sheep out and put the dead corpse from under the table or wherever it's hidden, because of that, you know, obviously, yeah. So when they whip that blindfold off, that man thinks he's killed someone. Do you see what I mean? Because that's the senses. They want them senses stimulated. Do you know what I mean? Fear, fright, apprehension, happiness, glee, all them sort of senses are what gets you going in ritual. Do you see what I mean? So that person's more than likely thinking or believing that he's actually stabbed someone. Do you know what I mean? Or killed someone. You know, but there's all, you know, different tricks and techniques they can do. You know, like get a corpse. No one's going to miss it for a night, and it's locked away in a coffin when it's put back anyway. You know, in a sealed coffin, no one knows the difference anyway. Do you know what I mean? You know, even if they take it and bury, you know, they just put 2 bodies in because they're the morgue attendants as well, aren't they? So, you know, this goes on. You know what I mean? Just look at Jimmy Savile. You know, more of him in a minute. But, you know, that's just, you know, but like I said, this is what they say. Look, you obviously know nothing about Freemasonry or wouldn't use Freemasonry and paedophilia in the same sentence. What a load of rubbish. See, this guy has a grip on all what's right. Do you know what I mean? Freemason lodges are satanic churches. And if you go watch Alton Charles, you know, he does a video 3 or 4 hours long, but very, very good, very watchable, and he tells you what's about and who rules the world. I don't go that far, because you don't need to know who rules the country or who rules, you know, the planet and the world. And this is where conspiracy, if you call them that, or truthers go wrong. They go, and they keep going on about Boris. They keep going on about you know, they're investigating things that are miles away, yeah, that they'll never get into or whatever, or they're researching someone else's research, what they've done anyway, where you can just look towards within your own town or city and find the corruption there. Do you know what I mean? Because they're answering up to the big boys anyway, like Boris Johnson and the other dude, I can't think of his bleeding name, say Biden and the other guy in America and all that. You know what I mean? They all answer up to them anyway. Do you see what I mean? So you know, the corruption's there within your own town and city, and you need to network it, because that'll, you know, it will lead to the corruption within it'll lead to a door. Yeah, and I'm not going to say anything. The corruption will lead to a door. There'll be a common denominator in every door it lands on, whether what city or town it is, yeah? And all them people are answering up to the people who are in London anyway, whether that's MPs, you know, prime ministers, whatever. They're all answering up to the same people. Do you know what I mean? The corruption. But again, like I said, you've got to have a positive view, which shows you the tiger on the left, and a negative point of view looks like he's eating the cub's head, doesn't it? You know what I mean? So remember, everything depends on the way you see it, and the way these people want you seeing. They want you seeing Boris. They want you seeing, you know, that geezer that got slapped. What was his name? Who slapped the other dude? Do you know what I mean? On the stage, they want you to see that because that's what you're talking about. Do you see what I mean? Oh, he's dead. So long as you ain't looking who's doing this in your town and who's doing this in, you know what I mean? So long as you ain't looking at what's really going on, the corruption, they'll keep distracting you forever. So look to what you know, what's in your own town, your own city, and you'll find it. You know what I mean? It's rotten to the core. Not globally, it's rotten town, city. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, you don't need to go to London and march. Look at your own city, your own town. What is the problem within your own town and your own city? Who's causing them problems? Do you know what I mean? And then you'll get a common denominator from it, I promise you. You know, Little Truth Media, yeah? Do your own research. Do you know what I mean? You ain't got to keep researching Biden and all the rest of it. There's plenty of people doing that already, but no one's researching your town, no one's researching your city. Do you know what I mean? Or your county even, you know, research your county. It's all local. Do you know what I mean? You ain't got to travel hundreds of thousands of miles to do the research because it's on your own doorstep. The corruption's there. Do you know what I mean? And then you've got to start asking the people in charge, why is this happening? Why is, you know, do you know what I mean? And that's what you got to do. Anyway, let me move on. You're getting to know what I'm, you know. And here we go about the free month, you know. Now we're to where the French, you know what I mean? Ha 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 ha. Who wants some garlic? But or is it onions? They use onions, don't they? Who wants some onions? But anyway, so you get the idea. Research your own town, your own city. You'll find clicky crews. They're Freemasons, and you'll find the corruption there. You don't need to, you know, keep researching. But they're corrupt anyway. Biden, Boris Johnson, the other Trump Towers, Trump, whatever his name is, they're all corrupt anyway. Do you know what I mean? They're all the same, doing the same funny handshakes, but they're doing it in the same thing. The people that answer and doing the corruption in your town are the same people. Do you know what I mean? And they answer up to them. Do you know what I mean? They're scared to make a move because if they do, their career's ended. Do you see what I mean? So they ain't going to say nothing because they're worried about the people who are going to sack them or whatever, or they'll get nowhere because they're speakers. Do you know what I mean? That's whistleblow. Do you see what I mean? You've got to put it on them, you know? Anyway, the existence of Freemason lodges amongst the French prisoners of war has long been known to the reading members of the fraternity. Yeah? Ranging over a period of about 6 years, they were established from time to time in many parts of Great Britain. For wherever a large number of prisoners were collected together, there would probably be sufficient Freemasons amongst them to open and work a lodge, right? Now, on certain lodges, you have to have like 2 Master Masons or 3 Master Masons, and then they can open a lodge, you know. So it doesn't take a lot anyway. The point of the matter is, though, the special treatment they get. You know what I mean? And again, I've done all that in my past videos. You know, the North and the South fighting. I think there's a little bit I've got here coming up where they show the preferences to the prisoners. Do you know what I mean? But the thing is, Freemasons in war, like I said, have a grand hailing sign. So if you're shooting a nest and your captain, for instance, see the nest has got a Freemason mark on it, he'll say fire your directions elsewhere. Do you know what I mean? Don't fire on the nest, fire elsewhere. Do you know what I mean? Or he's going to send profane people, do you know what I mean, that don't know what the hell's going on. And, you know, there's signals between the both sides, and the profane ain't got a clue what's going on. Do you see what I mean? And that's where people, they go, that's crazy, what are you doing that for? Is that, you know what I mean? But you will do it because you have to follow orders, even if they're crazy and you think, well, that's fucking stupid. You know what I mean? But it's not stupid because you're getting worked against by the Freemasons because they're working against you. Do you see what I mean? So they're just, you know, colluding all the time behind your back. Do you know what I mean? And that's anywhere, in a pub, club, whatever. And it's done. I've seen it around me. Do you know what I mean? I ain't got, you know, it's happening all the time. You know, they don't stop. Do you know what I mean? Because you're profane. You're without the temple. You're not initiated. You're dumb. Do you know what I mean? You're the hated profane. Anyway, so I'll let you read that. That's, you know, you can read that yourself. Do a pause on it, and I'll let you do this. This is where the prisons were. You know, Petersfield, Leeds, York, it was all over. Do you know what I mean? The French or German or whatever the hell they were. German, sorry. And And then look, the officers and those civilians who were entitled to rank as gentlemen, yeah, were allowed to reside on parole with assigned limits and on certain conditions, yeah. So anyway, this is what I'm saying. But no profane person, right? Because no officers, no profane people would have been officers. See, because the only people that wants to be in charge and in control are Freemasons. So they're all your captains, they're all your sergeant majors and all that. Do you know what I mean? And when they're fighting this, like I said, it's lodge wars, yeah. And you'll see that in a minute again when I get a bit further down the line here. But again, like I said, most wars, First World War, Second World War, all the wars are just lodge wars, and they go call to banner. Do you know what I mean? Come on, look, we don't agree with this, you know. And they divided, you know, like I said, Freemasonry, you know, people tried to take over, and Hitler did, didn't he? Took over, and he replaced his Freemasons, you know, their Freemasons with his Freemasons. Do you know what I mean? That's why he always went after the Freemasons first, because he knew they were the control of every town and city that he invaded. Do you know what I mean? They were the structure, you know, that controlled everything, that had the word, that knew how to influence all the profane within the town and within the city, because they're uninitiated, they ain't got a freaking clue what's going on. Do you know what I mean? But the German Freemasons did. Do you know what I mean? That's why they just did. They just killed them and then replaced them with their own Freemasons. Do you know what I mean? And it was just a fight, vie for power, you know. Anyway, I'm getting into a long, you know, but look, esteemed for their polite, right, case, right. So anyway, were allowed to reside on parole within the assigned limits of certain conditions. They were located mostly in the smaller provincial towns, and being in many cases men of rank and education, yeah, were esteemed for their polite and agreeable manner, and were received in all public assemblies with high consideration and a courteous welcome. Do you know what I mean? Because they were Freemasons. No profane. This is not about the profane people, because the profane wouldn't have got anywhere. But because they have a secret sign, you know, signs and all that, and they were Freemasons, they get special treatment. And that's what I said in my last video and many videos before. Do you know what I mean? They're going to get extra rations of bread, water, and treated well. And it tells you here, do you know what I mean? As already stated, several hundred broke from their parole, yeah, and escaped, right? Now, the ones who more than likely broke from their parole and escaped were the profane people, do you know what I mean? Or it was agreed and whatever, and they said, oh, go anyway, and got escaped anyway, do you see what I mean? And more than likely were helped by British Freemasons to escape, do you see what I mean? So that's how crazy it is, do you know what I mean? They go, oh, the prisoners escaped here, do you know what I mean? But he'll give a Freemasonic sign, and they'll put their, you know, and they'll walk away, because they will not harass or, you know, arrest one of their own brothers. Do you know what I mean? It's above them to do that. Do you see what I mean? Because he's a Freemason. He's above the profane. Do you see what I mean? And he'd give a hailing sign and all the rest of it, and they go, here, brother, you know, and on you go. You know what I mean? So most of the prisoners that escaped were allowed to escape. Trust me, they were allowed to escape because the Freemasons let them escape. And I'm telling you now, it don't matter what story they feed you, the truth is, right, from what you know of Freemasonry, if you're obviously, you know, up on them, yeah, and you know their secret signs and all the rest of it, oh, help a brother up, the only brother you help up and all this sort of malarkey, you think if I'm a escaped prisoner and I'm a Freemason, right, and I'm a German, and then I come across another British Freemason and I give a grand hailing sign or whatever, and I say to him, I've got to go, brother, you've got to let me go, he ain't going to let him go? Of course he is. He's going to let him go. He ain't going to keep him captured. You know what I mean? No way. Anyway, the generators were made a little irksome as possible. And they're saying, like, because their detention, you know, obviously they're living outside of the prison. You know, they're like living with, in a minute you'll see they were living with other Freemasons, yeah? You know what I mean? They're saying, well, it was a bit irksome, you know, to deal in consideration. That was shoon. See, that's how they spell shown. See, Freemason word, that is shoon, yeah? Shoon them in many ways, but in spite of this, the simple fact of them being under restraint must have been exceedingly galling, yeah? So they're giving excuses, you know what I mean? But again, if it was a profane person, they go, well, you know, they should be living in them conditions anyway. Do you know what I mean? I mean, they're still putting prisoners away now. Do you know what I mean? A lot of profane people. But anyway, So anyway, no one proves that in some cases, at least their captivity had been neither severe nor unpleasant, right? Now, he's gone on about Freemasons here. He ain't gone about on no profane person. And because they were prisoners, and like I said, in that it was neither severe nor unpleasant, it's because they were Freemasons. Do you know what I mean? And that's what it's all about, Freemason wars. Again, look, the following towns. I'm not going to go through that. Do you know what I mean? But again, look, according to Sir Archibald Allison, the historian, the French authorities never remitted one farthing for the maintenance of this host of prisoners, but left, wait, there's this one. No, in this page, I believe. One officer, right, of high ranking passed most of the captivity as an honoured guest of the Duke of Devonshire. Do you see what I mean? So he would have been of high ranking Freemason. Do you see what I mean? So he stayed with the Duke of Devonshire. And this is what there is. It's lords, dukes and earls. Do you know what I mean? But when they go to war, the profane fight the war for them. Do you know what I mean? It's madness. Anyway, on the subject of it, the Duke, after the conclusion of the war, is said to have declared that the happiest period of his life was when he was a prisoner on parole in England. One of his happiest times. See, now if he was a profane man, do you know what I mean? He wouldn't be saying that. Of course he wouldn't. Because he's living in a... Oh, no, that's bloody crazy. Anyway, a magistrate and master of the lodge at Montrose took the responsibility of moving some French prisoners from the local jail to his own house because they were Masons. Do you see what I'm saying? Masons treat each other completely different. Why didn't he take any profane people out? Because they don't give a fuck about you if you're profane. Trust me. This going on in this world now, yeah, there's one war. Yeah, we know it's a mind war and a fucking spiritual war and all the rest of it, but it's Freemasonry versus profane, and that is all it is. Yeah, they can go, oh, that's the Shriners, oh, that's the Skull and Bones, that's the, do you know what I mean? It's the, I can't think, I'll go all that in my head again, but that's all a distraction, so you start finger pointing. You know, that's them, that's their fault. No, it's not them. And they're in there mixing up with the profane, going, yeah, it is them. Oh, no, it ain't, it's them. And putting stir in the pot anyway, do you know what I mean? But believe me, the only war going on in this world now is profane versus the Freemasons. And the Freemasons run it and control it all. Yeah, and they don't want that. They won't relinquish that. You know what I mean? They'll blow the world up before they relinquish their power. Look, just like Hitler did in his bunker, and that's the scary thing. Do you know what I mean? And if we did try to take the power off them in any town or city, they would be the first ones to rise up with guns and shoot all, the troublemakers. Do you know what I mean? And that'd be the Freemasons doing that, trust me. And that's the only war going on in today's society, is Freemasonry versus the profane. Sadly, the profane has still got a lot of catching up to do. Do you know what I mean? Because you got them, you know, there's so much distractions. Do you know what I mean? It's just crazy, you know. But that's all indoctrinated by Freemasonry. They want you distracted, because while you're distracted, you're not thinking about what they're doing and what they're up to. In fact, you don't even see them, do you? They don't go out in their aprons. Do you know what I mean? You see a policeman there, he's standing there for he's there for the Masonic Lodge. Do you know what I mean? Same as any policeman on the street, because you're the profane people. You know, show me like I said, there ain't many profane people in the police force that are constables. Do you know what I mean? And if they are, they're very quickly snapped up by Freemasonry, and then they're working for Freemasons. You know, because like I said, Freemasons have a clever way of blackmailing people and you know. Getting them in that corrupt thing, do you know what I mean? Where they don't tell anyone he's a brother, do you know what I mean? Because there's always that silent. Like I said, they get money for just raising up, you know, £100,000. You know, all of that can go like that, and they can make your life shit and end your life. Do you know what I mean? Not just this generation. I'm on about generations to come. Do you know what I mean? It's fucking crazy. Anyway, Truth took responsibility of moving some French prisoners from the local jail to his own house because they were Masons. His brothers was the father of Sir Alexander Burns, the famous Arctic traveller, and of Dr. James Burns, the provisional Grand Master of Bombay, Scots Constitution in 1836. See, so they only look after themselves. You know what I mean? They don't look after any profane people. They might come out in the community a little bit and go, oh, we are, look, we're feeding a few poor. Do you know what I mean? And I mean, they fed them like salmon and all this sort of stuff right there. Way too rich for them, because I know who they were feeding that, obviously. And they've gone, yeah, that's like, you know, they're not used to the food. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, so anyway, that Frenchman a month ago were received as visitors at Masonic meetings in England. Do you know what I mean? Prisoners, look. Amongst the prisoners were received as visitors at Masonic meetings in England, Scotland and Ireland. You see what I mean? There's no Germans versus English people. Do you see what I mean? It's all Freemasonry, all brothers, all sisters. Do you see what I mean? And the women who were making all the guns and all that, and all the, you know, the shell casings and all that, they were Freemason women, you know what I mean? Eastern Star, do you know what I mean? Women's Royal Voluntary Service, Freemasonry, do you know what I mean? Cub Scouts, Freemasonry, Sea Cadets, Freemasonry, do you know what I mean? All of that, all run by Freemasons. Prove me wrong, go to your own town, like I said, research, see who runs your town. When you get a gala or an event, what happens in your town or city, see who runs it. It'll be Freemasons, that's all that runs it. The security will be the Freemasons. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy. They run everything. Anyway, in Scotland and Ireland, in Minster, came join the local lodges. See, so there ain't no, you know, when you're in war with you know, you go to war. You're not in a you know, like now there's the Ukraine versus Russia. Load of crap. As Freemasons. Distracting, do you know what I mean? And that's all it is. And the only ones fighting are the profane people, do you know what I mean? All the people in charge who are given the orders and safe in their bunkers or whatever are the master masons and all the rest of it. Do you know what I mean? That's what war is. War's just Masonic lodges. One appears to open and work the lodge by them say they seem fitting to have established one of their own, conducting the business and celebrating in their own language and according to the French system, and into which from time to time they admitted their fellow prisoners by initiation. Do you know what I mean? Most probably the great majority of these lodges were held without any warrant or authority whatsoever. And although they are believed to have generally confined themselves to the mission of their own countrymen, there is no doubt. Oh, I didn't do the rest. Why, I don't know. So that's, again, the book is in my, you know, in my forum, so you can download it. Do you know what I mean? But like I said, this is what I'm trying to get you. You know, Freemasons, yeah, when you go, oh, it's this, that, and they're pointing at each other and assume it is fault, at fault, it's a load of crap. There's only one army, one gang, yeah, and that's Freemasonry. And there's only one other type of person on this planet, and they're profane people. And that's me and you, if you ain't initiated and you're without the temple. And that's all that is in this world. Freemasonry and the profane. The Freemasons run the towns, the cities, and the whole world. You know what I mean? You can go, oh, the Illuminati, but the Illuminati are just Freemasons. You know, the elite families. Do you know what I mean? And you've got the elite family. So let's just put it this way, right? So you've got England, right? That's run by one Illuminati family, say, right? Yeah. And then you've got another Illuminati family that runs whatever, you know, like another country, yeah. So the Illuminati controls the world, you know, and there is a world lodge, yeah, a whole world lodge. So these families, right, and then you go down the pyramid or the triangle, whatever, you know what I mean? And they got all these different layers, which are all shh, and all just to shut up the profane and keep them under the boots. Do you know what I mean? Because we're the workers. You know what I mean? Well, I'm not the worker at the moment, but the point of the matter is, you know, they want you working for them, so they live in comfort. They're eating good. They're living good. They got the cars. Do you know what I mean? They got everything. The businesses, the hotels. Do you know what I mean? The nightclubs, the pubs. They own it all. They own it all. And we're just the, you know, we pay towards all their living. Do you know what I mean? That's all we do. But they keep you poor. Do you know what I mean? They keep you living poor, you know, because they want you living poor because you're always on the end of a receipt. You know, like everyone I know, you know, who's profane, yeah, they work to live. Do you know what I mean? And they can't even make ends frickin' meet. But you go kick a football for 40 minutes and you're a Freemason because that's part of their teams. Team Masons, if you don't know football's all Masonic, then you're well not even started. But football, you know, why do you think these people are getting so high, you know, these high wages? Do you know what I mean? Just for kicking a football, or a singer, you know, a star and all that. Do you know what I mean? Because they're all the distractions. Do you know what I mean? You know, crazy. I could go on and on, but we don't want to get into that. Anyway, let's go into this, right? Because I go sidetracked and I don't want to get into that, you know. But that's the basics of it. You know what I mean? There's just two people on this planet, yeah? You know, Freemasons and the Profane. That is it. No more. People can go ask the Shriners. They're Freemasons. Oh, it's the Illuminati. They're Freemasons. Do you know what I mean? And then you can go, oh, it's the Bilderberg family, or the, what's the other one? I can't remember. You know, you can keep naming them families, but you ain't getting nowhere near them families. But the people who are answering up to them families are in your town, they're in your city, and they're called Lords, Dukes and Earls. Do you know what I mean? That's all it is, you know. And you're not holding them accountable because they distract you with other crap. Do you know what I mean? You know, go put EastEnders on, go put, you know, the amount of people, while you're tuned in looking at EastEnders, Coronation Street, Emmerdale, Blind Date, you know, all them sort of little programs, you know, football, fucking, you know, wrestling or boxing, whatever that is, that's distracting you. But the Freemasons, you know what they're doing? They're in their lodge learning how to control you, the profane, and keep that power. You know what I mean? We're not talking about 50 men, we're talking hundreds of men within your town, within your city, keeping that control. And that's all they think. And that's all they do. Do you know what I mean? How can we, right, let's find some people, do you know what I mean? So they send people around to find you, you know, they look for cars to find, do you know what I mean? Anyone who's profane, but if you give a little signal, they'll leave you alone, you know what I mean? They're not, you won't get bailiffs at a Freemason's door. Christ, you know what I mean? Anyway, let's go on, because I can go on all day about it, I can. Anyway, like Knights of the Golden Circle, yeah? An authentic exposition, yeah? A history of succession from 1834 to 1861. It's illustrated by a member of the order, Indianapolis, blah blah, 1861. Now watch this. Look, this is. I'll leave the content there, and you can read it yourself. Yeah, but I will pick out little bits, and you know, do you know what I mean? The increase of anti-slavery sentiment at the North, and in effect, and its effect upon South. Southerners, right? Southerns, or whatever it's called. They call it, right? In General C. Berkeley advent in 1855, the first to systematise the order of the Knights Golden Circle, right? And then you'll see, right, where if you read that, where they actually, like I said, it was a Masonic war. Not the North and South v each other. It was Masonic North, Masonic South. Do you know what I mean? And that's just where they fell out. And this is like the same, and you know, that's global when there's world wars and all the rest of it, yeah? And that's all what it's about. Do you know what I mean? I'm trying to find the bits here. See, look, the Sworn Brotherhood pledged to a Southern government, right? Do you see what I mean? So that's what they keep doing, and then you get the North ones that go like that, and in here, and I don't know where it is, I should have marked it off before I'd done this, and I'm really sorry, because I normally put a little black line on it or something, yeah, just so I can go straight to it and know what I'm talking about. Do you know what I mean? But in here, if you read it, and I'll just do each one, it'll tell you where, you know, the North in happy with the South, and the South ain't happy with this, and then it gets into fights. Do you know what I mean? And that's between the Masonic lodges. Do you know what I mean? So the North, they just tell you. Do you know what I mean? It's mad. You know, the coercion bugbear of the Knights Golden Circle, excitement in the Colton states. This military spirit aroused Floyd's treason, statement of the stealing a revival of the Union feeling prior to the fall of the Santa, the Confederate States government, the attack on the Suma as Southern necessary, the order becoming unpopular, and an increased military spirit necessary to revive it. Do you know what I mean? And this is what it was. This is, you know, I've done this in my videos. You know what I mean? The North and the South was just a Masonic fight. Do you know what I mean? Because you had greedy Masons in the South. Do you know what I mean? That wanted to keep, you know, slaves on their, you know, doing their cotton or whatever they were doing. Do you know what I mean? And the ones in the North were like saying, no, you're not, you know, you're not having that. And it was doing, you know, but anyway, it started a Masonic war. Do you know what I mean? And luckily enough, everyone got, you know, free of slavery because they were mean, weren't they? But But that's what it's about, you know what I mean? It's all to do with Masonic war, you know, it's all Masonic wars, you know what I mean? And like I said, they knew, because obviously then, you know, coloured people or whatever got the vote and all that sort of thing, so they knew that then coloured people had a vote. And then you just watch Broadwalk, you know, Empire, do you know what I mean, and other things. So they know that man, you know what I mean, has got a vote and he's got power. So, well, we better start recruiting these people, do you know what I mean? And that's where the, you know, obviously all the black lodges come from then, do you know what I mean? And then they did their own, you know, because it's a separate, I'll say, race or whatever. Like, we're a race, didn't we? They're a race. Chinese are a race. So, you know, I don't know if that's right or not. I'm not, you know, I'm not racial anyway or whatever, but I don't know the right words. I come back from, you know, the old style stuff, you know what I mean? But, you know, this is what, you know, this is the thing. So, you know, and having all, like, all these different coloured people, you know, Chinese, Japanese, whatever, you know, all these people, this is why they recruit them, do you know what I mean? Because even though we're in power, we'll empower them to power themselves, do you know what I mean? But they will work for us, do you know what I mean? If you don't, we'll go to war, do you know what I mean? And if we need a war or we need to do something, then we'll throw a few Profane in, they can fight it out, and we'll, you know, we'll use it as a distraction. And that's all it is, it's just like a game of chess. You know what I mean? It's all to distract you, and while you're sitting there watching your EastEnders and, you know, getting the little thing, and all sitting outside a shop waiting for your Xbox game and all that, these Freemasons are standing in that lodge. They're talking about you. They're how to keep you binded and grinded under their foot. Do you know what I mean? And that cable tow round your neck. You know, they may wear all the suits and the thing without wearing their apron, but you're walking around with a cable tow round your neck, and that's a slavery fucking thing. Do you know what I mean? Because that's what we are. I hope you read that, because I'm going to go to the next page. All right, there you go. And then we get into chapter 1. Yeah. Oh yeah, this is the chapters. This is what it was about. Sorry, that give you each chapter what was going on. Yeah, that's what that was. Yeah. But when you get into it and you read it, see, you can see it. Do you know what I mean? Look, the origins of the order, Southern Rights Clubs, the African slave trade and the acquisitions of the new slave territory, the first organisation in 1834 and its success, the Mexican War. Again, I've proved that in my, you know, where they had the fight, you know, where I can't remember, David Bowie and all them. That was an actual Masonic lodge where they did the last stand. Do you know what I mean? That's in my videos. You'll have to watch, you know, the Masonic increasing armies. Do you know what I mean? But the Mexican War, you know, where they did the Alamo, that was in a Masonic lodge. Again, they were all Freemasons. Do you know what I mean? Fighting Freemasons. Madness, isn't it? Madness. Every war is Freemason war. Nothing else. Anyway, and then, you know, like I said, this is what it's all about. You know what I mean? It's just Freemasons fighting Freemasons all the time. Do you know what I mean? And that's what it's about. Some other southern cities, a few politicians who earnestly desired the re-establishment of African slave trade and the acquisitions of new slave territory. They believed that the Constitution of the United States was a tyrannical document since it prohibited the slave trade and regarded it as a system of piracy. Yeah? The American Union therefore had its enemies almost from its very childhood. Do you know what I mean? These men formed themselves into secret juntas, which without any particular form of real ritual were called SRC, Southern Rights Clubs. They had certain signs of recognition by which they made themselves known to each other and met weekly, semi-weekly and or otherwise, as the cause which they laboured to promote seemed to demand. Yeah, and this is what they still do today. Yeah, they're just Freemasons. Do you know what I mean? But they'll say, oh, you know, they're calling the Southern Rights Clubs, yeah, a Southern Rights Club. No, Southern Rights Club is Freemasonry. Do you know what I mean? But they're separated, you know, like other lodges. You know, they're separate from the Uggle. Do you know what I mean? They're separate from you because they don't do the same. You know, there's always people vying for power. Do you know what I mean? But so they ain't the same as you. Do you know what I mean? Boom, boom, and then they go to war. And when a war starts, it's a Masonic war. Do you know what I mean? And it's lodges, and they call to banner. I'm going to show you the banners in a minute, yeah, and prove my point as usual, which I've done anyway, right? So anyway, let's move on. But you can read this yourself. Like I said, I'm just sort of leaving it there and I'm just picking bits up, you know. But you can read this, pause it. Again, this is all in my forum anyway, so you can just download it. See, and this is where it's now telling you how it all go. You know how it all go. You know what I mean? North allowed the South to do the fighting in Mexico. Let the instantaneous right be, they had more interest in that war than we. I do not wish to be understood here as saying that the Mexican War was an unjust one, or that the United States government had no cause for it. I merely wish to put it plainly before the people that the southern states had a peculiar interest in it. Do you know what I mean? And the reason they got a peculiar interest in it is because, wait there, I'll turn my phone down. Oh, and it tells you, where is it? Oh, see, I wish I'd have marked it and underlined this. You'll have to read it yourself, guys. You know what I mean? Like I said, I'm not a very good orator, and I should read prepared, and I should, you know, underline it, which I did in a few videos. But I want to get this out of the way and get, you know, like get it over to you on part 2. Many Northern Democrats, do you know what I mean? But when they go, look, when they go many Northern Democrats, that's many Northern Freemasons, do you know what I mean? Because they're all Freemasons. They run the governments. Do you know what I mean? Who do you think's running the governments? Do you know what I mean? Freemasonry. They run it now, today. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, names of the committee worked so faithfully to make a successful and to maintain the reputation of the city of Evansville to entertain those within their gates. And then look, sir, do you know what I mean? All sirs. Do you see what I mean? Because these are the people, yeah, that run your towns, run your cities, the sirs, the lords, the dukes and the earls. Do you know what I mean? And once you've learned that, that's where these people here are supposed to look after you. You know, someone looks after this county, right? And he's supposed to look after the county. And then he administers to the people within the town or the city. And they're supposed to look after the town and the city. Do you know what I mean? But what they're doing, they've segregated all the profane and only looking after themselves. Do you see what I mean? So long as the profane is still under boot and got a cable tow around their neck, we don't give two shits, because they're still working for us. We're still living our life. We go home at night or whatever, and we drive out, we have enjoyment and do what we need to do. Do you know what I mean? But, you know, I can go on all day about it. But look at all these, look. All sirs, look, sir, because this is all your Freemasons. These are all your captains, your generals, and your, do you know what I mean? The ladies' reception committee, yeah, Freemasons. They're all Freemasons. And the commandery, look, all ladies of the commandery to assist. See, they're all Freemasons. Do you know what I mean? All of them. Nothing to do with, you know, the North and the South. It was to do with Freemasons of the North and Freemasons of the South. Do you know what I mean? And that's all it was about. Again, look at all the sirs, look, because that's all you're looking at: sir, lords, earls, and dukes. Do you know what I mean? Look at that. Hell of a Masonic army, innit? Knights Templar, look, an appendant order, Indiana, proceedings 1918. In hoc ho vinces. In this, I'll come to me in a minute. In hoc signo vinces. Again, here we go. Look, this is your town. Look, West Midlands bus. See that? Look, 232. Okay. Now I wonder who owns this company. Again, it's on there. Look. Okay. Now the reason they put the middle one in red, because that's the all-seeing eye. Well, obviously you can see the compass there. All right. So you got the compass, and this is a bus company, because Freemasons own your bus companies. They own your taxis. Do you know what I mean? They own everything. Everything you get to do. You jump on a bus, Freemason bus. Do you know what I mean? But again, look, we know this 232. This, and again, it's an octagon. Yeah, Octagon Empire. But you'll have to go back and look at Sheen Horos for the Octagon Empire. I do explain a bit of it in my videos, but I try to keep on the towns and cities, the corruption within the town and the cities. Yeah, you know, I could go, you know, I can put same as anyone else. I can put up here Boris Johnson, say this, say that, and, you know, go on about this and gripe with that. But it's not about that. It's about what's in your town and what's in your city, and are you going to do what's right within your city and what's within your town. Do you know what I mean? Because once you start isolating the corruption within your town, yeah, and you wheedle that corruption out, you know what I mean? How can they then order or get anyone to follow orders within your town or city, because all the corruption's gone out of it. Do you know what I mean? Because you wheedled them Freemasons out, the 1% doing all the corruption. But here it is, look, the bus company, look, Masonic sign, that's who owns it. But we know that right, as on every bus and station and terminal, right? So 3 steps in masonry, 5 steps in masonry, 7 subtotal. But we also know, which I showed in my last video, so you'll have to go watch that. We also know that means 666. So, you know, they're marking the territory all the while because they're Satanists, and, you know, Satanists that believe in Lucifer. Now, here's a reminder, yeah, on corruption and how things can get shushed up by Freemasonry and Freemasons. Shh. Savile. Now, if you notice with Savile, in the here, look, all these with white collars, you notice the white collars, yeah? All in the background here, all the white collars, look, all the way. This is his funeral, that's him in the coffin here, Jimmy Savile, right? The biggest 50-year shush up. Go look at my video on Savile, the 50-year shush up. But all these white collars, look, yeah? And believe me, even Bruno, who he introduced Jack the Ripper to, was a Freemason with a white collar. Again, that's in my videos. You'll have to go watch the Masonic shush up of Jimmy Savile in my videos. But look at all these white collars, look. But again, if you say to them, and again, that's in my video, do you know what I mean? They go, we don't have white collars, we don't wear collars, you know, and they deny it, that they actually have white collars in Freemasonry, which I've proved again. Like I said, go see my Jimmy Savile 50-year shush up. And there's the white collars here, look, all the way around the back. And there's Jimmy Savile in the old coffin there, look. Now, all these people here at his funeral, who do you think they were? They were councillors. They were head of churches. They were head of hospitals. They were movie stars. There was TV stars. But they're all Freemasons. Do you know what I mean? And they helped to shush. And here we have the Freemasons here, look, with their white collars, look. Even though they deny, they don't wear white collars. And you can see the jewels, look. He's got the square on, and he's got the level. Do you see what I mean? That's what it's all about. You know what I mean? You know? And these people are responsible. Don't be mad at the BBC. Don't be mad at the BBC. Who's this? Hardy. Oh, that's my boy right there. You alright, mate? I'll send you set. You want a tenner? Alright, I'll send you some money, alright? You want some money?
No.
Oh, what do you want, mate?
Just saying good night.
Oh, good night. Oh, yeah, I love you. Alright, good night, mate. Alright, I'm halfway through a video. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'll ring you in a bit later, alright? And I'll come and see you, alright, mate? Alright, love you. Bye. Alright, bye. Hey?
Not today.
No, not today. Tomorrow, yeah?
Yeah.
Alright, and bye. Bye. Right, that was my boy there, do you know what I mean? But that's what I'm fighting for my boy, do you know what I mean? Now these gang stalking, drug dealing, paedophile fucking nonsense, yeah? You know what I mean? They can come here anytime they want, and I'll sit down one-to-one with them, and they can say all what they say behind my back, what they do cowardly, by the way, yeah? Come and sit down with me, you get all your evidence, tape recordings, filming and all your shit, you little fucking Freemasons. Come here and sit down and have a one-to-one with me. Do you know what I mean? And we'll see who's who and what's what. Do you know what I mean? Of course they ain't, because they're criminal, they're corrupt. They won't come. They'll never sit down with an interview with me. Do you know what I mean? But I know what they're done. I know what they're doing. Do you know what I mean? I've watched them for over 20 years. You know? And what I'm doing now is fighting for my boy's future, your kids' future. Do you know what I mean? Because these Freemasons don't give two shits about you. Trust me. Anyway, let's go on. Look at the white collars, look. You know what I mean? Unreal. Look. And these are the people that were at Jimmy Savile's funeral. And here they are, look. See the boys here, look. See? White collar. See the white collar, look. Here's the white collar. Yeah? In the initiation. And what do they do with them? They turn them into brides, look. And they marry him. What's that all about? Eh? Freemasons dress little boys to be brides for a Masonic wedding ceremony. You know what I mean? But you ask a Freemason, like Freemason and paedophilia don't come in the same sentence. No, it comes in with Jimmy Savile and everything else they do. Do you know what I mean? And cover up. And these are why they get covered up. How many times have you read about the government covering up, you know, suppression orders, paedophile suppression orders? Do you know what I mean? Because of this, look, the handshake, Masonic, Freemason tie. Do you know what I mean? Because they're all in it together. Shh, keep the profane down, you know. But I never go this high. Again, look, a Masonic handshake. They're all in it together. So when they're telling you something, they're telling you what the Masonic Uggle told them. You know, the Grand Duke of York or the Duke or whatever who runs these countries that are in the background, these families, you know, and you go on about the other families. I can't remember, you know, the major ones, what control the planet. I can't even think what they're called, like. But these are the ones that answer to them. But the people that answer to them, they're in your city, they're in your town. Do you know what I mean? The people answering to these people are in your town and in your city. Do you know what I mean? And once you sort you know, your towns and your cities, hopefully these people here, we can weed them out as well, because you ain't getting nowhere near them. They're surrounded by the army and everything, and God knows whatever else. They've got hundreds of men, thousands of men. You know what I mean? Willing to go to prison and jail to keep you away. You know what I mean? They don't care. They'll shoot you. They'll just hire one of their gang members to shoot you. You know, they're criminal. They're corrupt. You know, if you ain't sure about it, look what the movie stars hang around with. Do you know what I mean? Or boxers or whoever. You know what I mean? Who hang around with criminals. You know, look at my I've got her name now. Oh, Brian Harvey and whoever his ex-partner was called. Look at that, you know. She, you know, they say it on interview. Don't you miss hanging around with the gangsters anymore? You know, sniff and coke. You know, she lost her nose, didn't she? I can't remember her name. But do you see what I mean? And they tell you. Do you know what I mean? You've only got to research and look into it to find out who's corrupt within your town and in your city. Yeah, that's all it is. And they all answer up to these people here. Scum. Now look. Installation of officers celebration, faith, hope and charity, right? Now, officers, the only officers I know in anything is an army. Look, officer installation, red level Masonic lodge. Do you know what I mean? An officer, the only officer I know is in an army, and this is an army, you know, a gang, a well organised gang, corrupt gang, you know. Annual officers installation. You know, the Star and Compass. Welcome to the officers of Anoka Lodge. Do you know what I mean? These are all the officers. You know what I mean? They're not officers for nothing. Because they're army. They're an army. Masonic Lodge. Look, officers installation. These are all different ones, by the way. You know what I mean? They're installation of officers. Do you know what I mean? There's 3 lodges there, or chapters. I think they're chapters, them ones. But you see what I mean? And they're going on and on and on all the time. And here we go, look. Here's the coat of arms, yeah? Okay? And this is what's about. Grand Lodge of British Freemasons in Germany, right? Okay? And this is what you got to look for. See? There's the one... I forgot the name of that. So you got the lion, and then you got the 3... I don't know what these are. I think they're castles, yeah? But... this is what Freemasonry is. This is just all to do with heraldry. Lords, dukes and earls, yeah? And when they have a Masonic war, they hold their banner up and they go, come and help us fight these people. And the profane, like dumbasses, go, yeah, okay. And that's where they get all the, you know, and they send in the profane first because you're the privates. Do you see what I mean? Send in the privates. Do you know what I mean? Sergeant, get them, you know what I mean? You know, and all the generals and all the people that sit on the hill and, you know, or sit in the safety of the, you know, out of the war zone, you know, they're all Freemasons like Churchill. Do you know what I mean? That's crazy. You know what I mean? And here it is, the coat of arms of medieval Europe, right? Now this is medieval Europe, right? But this is where it all comes from, Freemasonry. You know what I mean? This is what it is, you know? And when there's a war, which there was all the time between these guys, like I said, they're sorting themselves out a lot now. You know what I mean? Because they know it's more profitable, yeah, to not go to war, but it serves them to depopulate and obviously, you know, distractions and all that. So we'll go to war, you know. But that's part of it, and I don't want to go into that again. But this is what you know, this is what's ruling you. All of these people, you know. You go watch a programme, I think it's called Nightfall, I think, and you'll see their shields. They've all got this shield on it in France, but they're British, by the way, with holding French shields. Why, I don't know. But because it shows the Fleur de Lis, that's in there. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, hello, we're Freemasons. These are all Freemasons signs, these are. Nothing else. They're all Masonic. Go look at the signs, the Masonic banners. Do you know what I mean? Again, look, mat of coat of arms are the kingdoms and principalities of Europe. Do you know what I mean? And there it is, look. Just go weigh it up, yeah, what's here, with the same of what's in the banners of a Freemason lodge. And here's their banners in the background, look. See? Different chapters, and they all worked, you know, like I said, when they fall out, that's when they start going to war. Look at the chapter. See, they're all different chapters, and they all mean different things. They're banners. Do you know what I mean? And that's a call to banners. It's like when you see Braveheart, they go, oh, we'll have to call in, you know, everyone to banner. You know what I mean? Will he join us? Will he join us or not join us? Will this Masonic lodge join us, or will that Masonic lodge join us? Do you know what I mean? Look at this is the army. Look, that's a gang there. A well-organised gang. And look at the people in the background. Do you think they've got nothing to do? All these people, when there's a war breakout, they don't influence that, you know, on what you've got to do within your town, within your city. Of course they do. They're your police, they're your judges. You know what I mean? These are the ones that are taking control and tell you what to do and what's going on. Do you know what I mean? Look, a well-organised army, look. Do you know what I mean? That's all that is. There's the banner in the background again, look, you see? So it's just a call to arms, you know. Same as football teams. They're just like these are just football teams. Do you know what I mean? Same as who play the football teams are young Freemasons. Do you know what I mean? And the only people who are going to get the chance for football, if you come from Freemason family or you're an exceptionally good footballer, obviously, but you will be quickly snapped up by Freemasons. You know, because Freemasons are your entertainment. Look, here's another army unit. Look, notice the banners in the back again. Okay, because it's all call to arms, and when there's a war, you're going to war for Freemasonry, nothing more, nothing less. And you know, like I said, it's the distract. But the top ones, you know, above all these, you've got a lot of them who don't know what the fuck's going on. You know what I mean? So when you get a worshipful master come in, and you've got the high-ranking ones telling the low-ranking ones, "Oh, go to war." Do you know what I mean? They ain't got a fucking clue. That's only because they're more than likely Master Masons. Do you know what I mean? So all the Master Masons and below go to war. And they go, oh, that Freemason fought in the war. Oh, that Freemason fought in the war. But all the top ranking ones, they all get a pass. Do you know what I mean? Crazy. Anyway, here we go. Look, more banner. Look, there's the banner in the background. There's another Masonic unit, army unit, look. Could do this all day. I've done it in plenty of videos. See the banners in the back again, look. It's called the banners, that's all it is. Masonic Wars. Do you know what I mean? Masonic War. Look at this army here, look. Look at this unit. And these people, when they rise up, and they will rise up if you Profane take too much power away from them, they're going to line you, me and all the rest of us up and shoot us until we comply. Do you know what I mean? And they'll make a war, a world war or whatever it is, everyone gets involved and all the truthers will be on the front line, do you know what I mean? Or, like I said, they'll invade a town, attack it, shoot all the truthers that are sleeping in the beds and all that, and then they're gone again. Oh, we got attacked last night, or you got bombed, you know. All they do is bomb the truthers, do you know what I mean? And then it keeps all the shish down, you know. 50 years later they have to do it again because people wise up, don't they? Like me, I've wised up over the last 30 years of what was going on to me. Do you know what I mean? I just kept shh for 20 years because I couldn't come. You know, if this pandemic hadn't come out, no one would be talking Freemasons. Do you know what I mean? I'd still be here recording and taping and doing my business. Do you know what I mean? But now I can talk about it a bit blatantly, you know, because everyone knows about it and they know I'm not talking shit. Do you know what I mean? But if I was saying this back, they go, oh, it's a charitable organisation, this, that and the other. But people are wising up to it now. So they're looking for a way, trust me, they're looking for a way to shush it up. And the only way to do that is with war. Yeah? And then they've got strategic plans to bomb where profane people live or any whistleblowers. Trust me, I'm telling you, that's how crafty and sly these people are. I wouldn't trust them anywhere. Look, Nazis and Freemasons, yeah? the robbing of the lodges. They weren't robbed, they just got done over because Hitler knew that they controlled the towns and the cities. That's why he got the Freemasons, because he was at war with Freemasonry. He wasn't at war with England. He wasn't at war with anyone. He was at war with Freemasons. Do you know what I mean? That was why there was a world war, because he wanted to take the power. He knew how to take the power because they shoe him. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, and they did it like Joan of Arc. You know what I mean? In the end, they betrayed Joan of Arc and then burnt her at the stake because she had too much power. Do you know what I mean? And they did the same with Hitler. Do you know what I mean? He did his deed. You know, he's the biggest distraction going. But he also shed up a lot of people that were truthers. That took, well, from the World War, we're now talking, when was that, 1945? You're talking here on 50 years of people not saying anything, you know what I mean, walking around, and these Freemasons have been getting richer and richer, expanding their wealth, while the profane are still living, working the fields, working the shelves, do you know what I mean, doing all the menial tasks. Crazy, crazy. Yeah, look, here's Freemasons, look, they're even standing, right, on a checkered floor, look. Where have I just shown you that? This same picture. Hey? Look, that's Germans, SS soldiers. If you ain't sure, I'll just show you that. There it is, look. There's your Germans, there's your English, do you know what I mean? They're just men, but they're Freemasons. Yeah, look. And here's the worshipful master gone down, shaking all Master Masons' hands, or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Because they were a special unit, the SS say, yeah? You know what I mean? Well, it's just Freemasonry, the same. It's nothing no different. You know what I mean? Now they are, the worshipful master, junior warden, junior deacon. Do you know what I mean? They're all facing south, he's facing north, and he's in the east. You know? This is your Freemasons, you know? And that's all it is, they were Freemasons. No different. You know what I mean? And they just knew that who had the power. That's why they went after the Freemasons, because we were persecuted through the war. You were persecuted, Freemasons, because you were the one that's controlling the towns, controlling the cities, and Hitler went for a lodge grab, and you didn't like it. Do you know what I mean? But you got all the profane involved in your lodge wars. You know what I mean? And there it is, look, Freemasons. Look at the Freemasons there, look. They're all Freemasons. Do you know what I mean? You know, or do you think the German Freemasons, yeah, just disappeared? Of course they didn't. You know what I mean? Hitler replaced the German Freemasons with more German Freemasons. Do you know what I mean? That's all he did. Do you know what I mean? The Freemasons that were working with Britain, America and all the rest of it, as they do, he just said, I'm not having it no more. Bang, fuck you lot. I'm going to snatch the power from all of you. I know how it works. And that's why he did. Do you know what I mean? Just try to take the power away, but obviously they fight back, don't they, Freemasons, and start wars, and then that's when you get the world wars. Do you know what I mean? Call to banner, come to my banner, you know, help us. You know what I mean? One of our Freemasons has gone rogue on us. Do you know what I mean? And that's what happens. You know, you see it in feudal Japan. You go look at feudal Japan. You know what I mean? You got clans, and then clans will fight and try and get power off the other clan, and that's all you're looking at. Freemason clans, clan lodges, whatever you want to call it. Same as like what was happening in Scotland with the clans. Do you know what I mean? Same as what happened with gangs. Do you know what I mean? Gangs vie for each other, but the people controlling all of that is Freemasonry. You know. Anyway, let me move on, babies. Yeah, look, a Masonic lodge gathering. You know what I mean? That's all it is. They're just Freemasons. You know, they've got the white gloves of masonry on as well, and they've just got uniforms on, and that's it. The only difference is Freemasons don't go out openly in their fucking uniform. But if you put a G on everything they owned, you'll see it on taxis, you'll see it on buses, you'll see it on hotels, everything. They just own the lot. Actually, let's just put one big G on the planet. Do you know what I mean? Because that's what they own. They own the planet. Do you know what I mean? Simple as that. And here we are, look, there's your Freemasons there, look, with the child sacrifice. But we won't go into that, they don't, you know. But here it is, look, all these guys here, police, politicians, judges, took oaths to serve these guys, the Freemasons, look, G. These guys serve 666 Lucifer. And I've proved you know, and I've gone on, you know, and go on again, on and on and on, do you know what I mean? And, and it's proved, you know. But again, you know, you got guys like this. Who remembers it? Mr. Godbolt, eating his own stuff on a bread roll, but this is a Freemason. Whether he's, I don't know if he's true or not. I don't know. You know, I mean, like Christ, he would do that. You know, like eat his own feces off bread. You know what I mean? There it is, look. But I say, you know, like when I talk, I say, is it true? You know, he's saying yeah, but I think that's just made up. I don't know. But that's a Freemason for you, look, eating his own feces. You know, what the hell? And here we are, look. Freemasons are friendly guys, but look, they make things like this, look. Ready to stab the profane. See? Here it is here, look, in action, look. Look, Freemason. See? Now, what do you think they do with this knife? You know, they built it for the. They ain't going to stab a Freemason with that. They're going to stab a profane man. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But they ain't going to stab it themselves. They're going to get someone else to do it because they'll do it with a rumour. Do you know what I mean? Death by rumour. You know, madness. Ooh. And there you go, that's the Freemasons for you. But don't worry about it, they're alright, they do charity, just like Jimmy Savile. You know what I mean? Here's another one of their knives, look. Yeah? See? You think they built these knives and they have swords for nothing? No, they've got them. Where's yours? Have you got a knife? Have you got a sword? You know what I mean? We're all unarmed. The only people armed are Freemasons. Do you know what I mean? Unreal. Because all their laws are set to keep the profane down. You ain't having. They don't want the profane having guns because they get shot, don't they? Do you know what I mean? And trust me, if another war kicks off in America, it will be all the Freemasons that get together in their lodges fighting profane people. Do you know what I mean? And the trouble is, profane people will have people stand beside them giving orders that are Freemasons. So they'll send them into traps and things like that. You're buggered. Do you know what I mean? Because they've infiltrated everything. And people are working for Freemasons and they don't even freaking know it. Do you know what I mean? Crazy. This is how you leave your working tools. I've shown you this in videos before. But here it is, look. You leave your hose lines and but you do this with like knives and forks. You know, you work in a restaurant, you put your knives and forks like this, yeah. And Freemason will know you're a Freemason, and he'll, you know, and then you'll work against the profane. If you want to get your brother in the job, then you'll hound the profane person out of the job. Do you know what I mean? And again, don't even go there, because the amount of people I've helped over the years that were being gang stalked at work and jobs, and obviously if you're listening to this you know exactly who I'm on about, and I'm not on about one person here, by the way. I'm on about multiple people I've helped over the years that have been gang stalked at work just so someone else can get their job. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, that's another story. But here's an old look. Once you start learning the symbolism, you can see where they live. How blatant can you get? Look at that. Do you know what I mean? Unreal. Anyway, this is now a ritual. This is a working ritual. I just talk about it a little bit. I'm going to run it. That's like 23 minutes long. If you don't want to watch the ritual, then obviously fast forward. Well, that's the end of the video, really. I'm going to go show you, if I can, here. Which is here. Nazon, Zazon, Boni, baby. This is where you need to be. This is where all the action is. Tells you every. Look, there's all my books. Look, any book you need is in there. If I haven't got it and you know it and you want it, let me know and I'll upload it to you. I've got over 6,000 Freemason books. Do you know what I mean? Okay. So if you need anything, just tell me. If there's something you want, just reference it to me. I should put another I should put Freemason book request, really, shouldn't I? But what I want to show you here, this is all related to Freemasonry, the whole shebang, yeah? The gang stalking, the drug dealing and police, children's services and CAF social service, all to do with Freemasons. That's all that is. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, I think, where did I put that in? How do I get in there? Unable to post facts. Yeah, this is the one. And if you want to read about the rumours, people killed by death, that's in here. Go into gang stalking and vomits, gang stalking number 2, perp tools, yeah, and then go into here and you can read about that. But they wouldn't let me post this on Facebook, not one iota. They deleted that as rap. That was just so shushed up, you know what I mean? But this is about, you know, where Freemasons will spread rumours, do you know what I mean, to get you beat up or killed by a profane person, you know what I mean? Because they don't know, you know, they don't know nothing, you know, the profane, but they'll work together to spread a rumour, and then everyone start hating on you, do you know what I mean? Or they're going to slap you or punch you, do you know what I mean? And that's the Freemasons doing that, do you know what I mean? And then, you know, I'll just show you a quick look. Oh, wait there, I'll accept. See if it's still here. Look, perverts get revenge on vigilante paedophile hunter by falsely portraying him as a child sex offender. You see what I mean? But that's how easy that is. This was the lighter side I did, you know what I mean? Where they reversed it on a paedophile hunter. But again, them rumours were enough for him, you know what I mean, to get the flack from, like, see, look, see, nonce, yeah? But it still was enough to get him, you know, trouble. Do you know what I mean? He gave sentence to 6 years old for boys and girls. People. So, you know, all they did was doctor the thingy. Look, you see, they doctored his picture, but it was enough for him to get flack from people. Do you know what I mean? Describing him as a paedophile, though he was quickly removed when he reported them. Do you know what I mean? See, the trolls learned, and this is what they do. You know what I mean? And then before you know it, everyone's hating on him. You know, even putting rewards up, look. It's crazy, you know. Dangerous nonce with a £50,000 reward. Do you know what I mean? This is what they do. This is what Freemasons do when they're gang stalking you and they make you a perjured individual. Do you know what I mean? See, and the thing is, that is really scary for me. They would use that evidence to set me up for an arrest and possible imprisonment for something I've never done. That is really scary for me. And that's what Freemasons do. They set you up for you know, going to jail and going to prison. Do you know what I mean? They'll set it up where you have a fight. You'll do the assault, but you're the one who go to jail. And then when in your jail, the Freemasons that are corrupt criminals, yeah, will pay someone to slash your face. Do you know what I mean? Or get a gang of inmates to attack you. Do you see what I mean? Because that's what they do, because they control the prison. Do you know what I mean? You know, and they'll use one of their little funny handshakes to talk to a prison guard, and then that prison guard will arrange it. Do you know what I mean? It's fucking madness. You know, and that's no lie. Do you know what I mean? That's a fact. You know what I mean? Look, I don't even go out on socialise no more. I'm a single and shut myself in my own home like a prisoner. And that's just from a rumour. And that's what Freemasons do. They know that. And they want you constantly living in fear. Do you know what I mean? Like, ooh, am I going to get beat up? Ooh, am I going to get stabbed? Ooh, am I going to get shot? Do you know what I mean? Because that's what they do. They're professional at it. They're gang stalking, drug dealing, paedophile nonsense. But don't mention the Freemasons. You know what I mean? Boy 16, look, found dead after false rape rumours circulates. Do you see what I mean? And this is what they do. You know what I mean? This is Freemasons, yeah? And they're the quickest one to spread the lie, because truth travels slow. Do you know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying. Get any of these fuckers that goes behind my back in here speaking all the shit they speak about me. They won't come and sit here and have a live. Go both on the screen, my face and your face. All what you're saying, we'll put it on the live, yeah? And then, but they won't. Do you know what I mean? I'll do a live with anyone in this town. I don't give a fuck who it is. You know what I mean? There's plenty of about I can't remember their names again. I could name, but I won't. Or where they live. You know what I mean? I could name it that. You know, come and have a live with me. We'll do it live. You know what I mean? It's not a problem. Post it. Give me your name, address, and telephone number. Post it on my Facebook. It's all open. Do you know what I mean? And I'll get you in for a live. We'll do a live feed on it. You know what I mean? But they won't, because they're cowards. They live in the background. They're all in the sneaky shadows. Do you know what I mean? You know? Look, there was rumours that I had tied a girl to a tree, raped her, and took her pictures. As you can imagine, I can no longer walk down the street as everyone calls me a rapist. Do you see what I mean? And that's what Freemasonry does. So if you're a truther, be careful, because this is what they do. And that's what my post is about. This is what this post is about. Do you know what I mean? Because if you're a vomit, and this is what it's about, victims of Masonic ill treatment or a targeted individual by Freemasonry, they will get you killed or hurt by starting a vicious rumour. You know what I mean? You can get killed, slaughtered. Do you know what I mean? And you know, come and read it yourself. It's there anyway in my forum. But let me just go to show you a couple more, Sorry, it's gone. I don't know how long I've been speaking. You know what I mean? I go on and on and on, don't I? Right. Thug beat, kicked and strangled man with learning difficulties to death over false Facebook rumours that he was a sex offender. Right? And remember, these people can put that around because they're the dominant force within your town. Do you know what I mean? People respect them maybe because they deal their drugs. Do you know what I mean? So everyone respects them. For some reason, people that are getting dealt drugs respect the dealer, don't they? And even though they're wrecking their lives. I mean, shit, I've got people, you know, on camera that they're well, I can go on, brother, sister, mum, dad, fucking everything, and they're standing toe to toe with the dealers that have done that to their family. Do you know what I mean? But they still respect them. Do you want a point? You know what I mean? Crazy. You know what I mean? But this is what it's all about, look. You know what I mean? Piled in with crack cocaine, you see? It's all, you know, it's just that what they do. This is what Freemasons do. They spread rumours, any fucking rumour. Do you know what I mean? So long as it makes your life shit, you can't go out anymore. You know, like I've had, you know, and I don't want to go too much into it. You know, I've had them stand on the, like outside the bank. You know what I mean? One example, say, yeah, and him staring at me like that, really vicious. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm supposed to be worried about it. But anyway, I walked past the dude, yeah, crossed back over the road. You know what I mean? And then his little worshipful master Mason come over and shook his fucking hand and all that. Oh, well done, you've done something. And he more than likely got a Masonic medal for it. Do you know what I mean? But that's what they do. You know what I mean? I've been followed, trust me, followed, and I mean like that. Within 10 minutes, they know exactly where I am. Obviously, they're doing GPS or whatever the fuck it is. But I've been followed Bristol, Cornwall, Hastings, right to the north tip of Scotland, all over the Scotland, do you know what I mean? Anywhere I travel to, I'm followed by these scumbags, do you know what I mean? These perverts, right, that fucking keep following me, do you know what I mean? But like I said, evidence mounts up after 20 years, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? And like I said, you don't take a shovel from a pervert that's following you, do you know what I mean? You let him dig his grave, do you know what I mean? Or you give him enough cable tow round his neck to hang himself, do you know what I mean? But that's another story. I don't want to get into that. But this is what they do. This is what Freemasons do. So if you're a truther, you know, telling the truth, and in your local town, you know, and you upset a Freemason, you know, it don't matter. You know, even if you're not a truther, yeah. Let's say you sleep with a man's wife and having an affair with her, right? And that's a Freemason's wife. He's going to make your life shit. He's going to make you a targeted individual. Do you know what I mean? Or he's going to pay one of his little lodge mates, who's a crackhead dealer, right? Whatever, who's and respected. He's going to pay him money to make sure you get a smack in the mouth or you get robbed on the way home. Do you know what I mean? And it looks like, oh, I got robbed the other night. No, you didn't get robbed because 2 years ago you fucked this man's wife and they just paid you back. Do you know what I mean? So don't think these Freemasons get you instantly. They don't. They wait and they wait and they wait and they wait. And it doesn't mean this decade. They do it in any decade. Do you know what I mean? And that's what Freemasons do. You know. I can go on and on about. I'm going to do a video on gang stalking. Do you know what I mean? I won't be mentioning no names or anything like that. But I will show you some, some bits and pieces, and I'll try and see if I can, get some of my old files out. And just show you some of the techniques, what they do. Anyway, women in India killed after false rumour of child abductors shared on a WhatsApp. Do you know what I mean? And they hanged her. Do you know what I mean? A woman's been killed by dozens, hurt in a mob attack after a false rumour spread on WhatsApp that child abductors were at large. Do you know what I mean? 100 people that attacked the victim and 3 other women in Abadan City in the state of Gujarat. You know what I mean? And this is what they do. They spread a rumour, and that rumour carries. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter who. You point at anyone and go, oh, he's a fucking free, he's a rapist, he's a fucking... But I've got rapists, who I've investigated, and they're standing toe-to-toe, respected. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, what the fuck? You're a rapist. Do you know what I mean? And I can go on and on about rapists and all the rest of it, but that's not what it's about. Do you know what I mean? But because they sell drugs or they're Freemasons, no one's saying anything about it. Do you know what I mean? That's fucking bad, and it's all shushed up about it. Oh, anyway, again, look, I think it's, this is the one, look, brutal moment. Disabled woman is tied to a tractor, then beaten to death by a mob after false rumours she was a child kidnapper. And you can see that yourself. That's in the Sun, look, and you can see that. I'm not going to play that because it's not, it's not good. but that's in the Scottish Sun, yeah. And if you read up on it, or just do the you know, evil whispers, brutal moment disabled, and just type that in, then you can watch that at your own leisure. I won't play it. Do you know what I mean? But look, that's what they did. Look at that. And that's what mob mentality is, yeah. And the people that do this are the ones, you know, the ones who go, like when there was the witch trials, the Salem witch trials, you know, they were Freemasons. Do you know what I mean? And they point out the people that has upset the Freemason. You know, that was all what was on that list. You know, any women that upset a Freemason or a man or whatever was burned at the stake, dipped in the river or whatever. Because the Freemasons were the witch hunters. Do you know what I mean? That's how crazy it is. Do you know what I mean? And this is what they do, and they've had this power for years, decades, eons. Do you know what I mean? Because look, in their books, according to them, a nation, Noah, you know, Noah's Ark or whatever, Noah. No, it weren't Noah. Well, yeah, they go back into Noah anyway, but I don't want to get into him neither. Moses took a nation of Freemasons out of Egypt and freed them from slavery. Do you know what I mean? And then they spread around the world, blah blah. But that's what Freemasons say. But this is what it's all about. You know what I mean? But they do. This is how they get you. Do you know what I mean? But yeah. Oh, I don't know what this one is. the link's there. I don't know what this one's about. False rumor. Oh yeah, 9 false rumors with real life consequences. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? King Louis the Fifth was kidnapping children, yeah. So in 17th, children began being in the streets of Paris. No one seemed to know why, and worried parents began rioting in the streets. In the midst of the panic, a rumour broke out that King Louis had become a leper and was kidnapping children so he could bathe in their blood. At the time, bathing in the blood of children was thought by some to be an effective leprosy cure. The rumour did have a tiny kernel of truth. Authorities were taking children away, but not to the King's Palace, a recently acted serious ordinance designed to clear the streets of undesirables. Do you see what I mean? I'm an undesirable. Do you know what I mean? If you're a truther speaking about these people in power, you know, Boris Johnson and all that, then you are an undesirable, you know. And back in them days, it didn't matter. You could disappear like that. But remember, they can make accidents. Do you know what I mean? There's accidents. They can get you robbed. Do you know what I mean? All of that. They do this for a living, Freemasonry. You know what I mean? And led some policemen who are paid per arrest. This still goes on. Do you know what I mean? The police are still paid per arrest. Do you know what I mean? And bonuses. Same as probation. Anyway. You know, London was got to be, you know, I'll let you read it anyway. It's there in the forum, do you know what I mean? I'm going to play the video now. But there you go, you know. Like I said, I just try and do, you know, I try and educate, you know, the profane as best I can. But like I said, if you're a truther, and I'll leave this here where you ain't got to go to the forum if you don't want to come to the forum to read it. Do you know what I mean? I tried posting this on Facebook, and I see nothing wrong with it myself, but Facebook wouldn't allow it. Do you know what I mean? And then, you know, this is just how it is. You know what I mean? Facebook, they don't like truth. But anyway, I'll let that go. This is a ritual. I'll let it play. If you don't want to see the ritual, then don't watch. Story. Obviously, I'll take the mask off in a minute. You know what I mean? And while this is playing, let's see if I can go ring my boy. Right. Remember, I love you all, and be good. This is the true story of the Knights Templars, right? Oh yeah, this is the. Oh yeah, this is my version. Right. Let me just go back a bit. This is what the Knights Templar, what the Knights Templar do. Yeah, this is the true story of the Knights Templar. You know what I mean? Because the story they give, remember, there was like 9 knights, right? That went from say London all the way to Palestine or wherever it is. Yeah, there was 9 knights protecting that road, which was like 500,000 million miles, do you know what I mean, long. There was 9 knights, yeah? What a load of crap. If you know the real story of the Knights Templar and how they protected the pilgrims, yeah, do you know what I mean, on that journey, which I'm now going to tell you, that's the real truth and where they get their wealth from, do you know what I mean? But anyway, that's another story. I'll let it play and good luck. Thank you.
Bye. I can get my mask off and then people can hear me, right? This is the true story of the Knights Templars, right? And they used to, like, protect the pilgrims, right? Obviously it's a ritual here, I'll take you through this in a minute, right? That's for the 2nd degree. It shows you the steps in masonry. What I go on about, you know, the 3, 5, 7. Anyway, the real story is this, yeah, the pilgrims that were rich, that were travelling to a new land with their wealth, would get protected by the Knights Templars. What really happened is, the Knights Templars during the night would say, yeah, you're safe from here, leave the pilgrims, change their clothes into highwayman gear, yeah, and put theirs into a satchel or a bag, yeah, their Knights Templar costumes, and then they'd ride in on the pilgrims, because they know what they had all the wealth, because obviously they'd mingle among them, and then they'd steal that wealth. Do you know what I mean? That's how Knights Templars, or hoteliers, because they use the hotels as well, you know what I mean, when a person comes to the hotel, yeah, or their hostels or whatever they did on the way to the, you know, to the pilgrim, where they were pilgriming, you know what I mean, they know who was wealthy and who was not. Do you know what I mean? So what they used to do from that, like I said, you know, they'd go, oh yeah, we'll escort you. They'd escort you so far, know where your secret wealth is and that, because they'd be trusted. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, and people would go, oh, this, that, and the other. So, but the wealth comes from them actually robbing the pilgrims. Do you know what I mean? And that's where their riches come from. Do you know what I mean? And obviously, you know, you know, anyone who had a business like a hotel or a profitable business on the way, they kill them, you know, and then they buy it out. Do you know what I mean? And they've done that since. You know, they're just criminals. This is what Freemasonry is all about. It's still the same. It doesn't change, because criminals are habitual. Do you know what I mean? And it goes on and on and on every decade. Do you know what I mean? You know, because when we're born, we go, oh, and this is our life, this is our lot. Do you know what I mean? This is how, and what you're doing, what they're doing, is making us customised, yeah, or sensitised to the way we live. Do you see what I mean? So you don't know what living free is. Do you know what I mean? Because you wasn't born free. Do you know what I mean? You know, and they keep you in this, because they live a society of, you know, free. They're free. They live a society of freedom. They've got their own passports and, you know, all of this. But they live in a free society. They're separated from us. They're nothing to do with us. We're profane. Do you know what I mean? There's 2 people on this earth. One are called Freemasons, and that don't matter if you know, you can call Knights Templars, domWis, Skull and Bones, 322, they're all Freemasons. They're just different, you know, like the army, yeah? You've got the Corps, or you've got the SAS, or you've got the, you know, the Royal Fusiliers and all that sort of stuff. That's still an army, that's still the same army, it's just called different sections or different regiments, do you know what I mean? And that's what Freemasonry is. It's a different regiment, you know, they go, oh, we're Knights Templars, oh, we're domWis, do you know what I mean? But no, you're just still Freemasons. You're all Freemasons, whether you're, you know, a Shriner or whatever. Anyway, but that's the point. That's where their wealth come from. They go, oh, here, as a pilgrim, we'll escort you. You'll get into the caravan or whatever, get the confidence and the trust of the people in the caravan, you know, because obviously they're given the, you know, a bit like Jimmy Savile, we're good, you know, you can trust us, blah, blah, blah. And then when they find out where they're were they wealthy enough to rob, they then change their uniform, rob them, and they go, oh, that's the robbers on the highway killing them. Do you know what I mean? A lot of bandits. But they were actually the bandits and the protection, do you know what I mean? And that's how they got their wealth. And like I said, on the way, you know, they take over a business, you know, like a hotel. So when they, you know, they go, so the pilgrim go, well, where's a good place to stop? Well, what do? They direct them to their own hotel or inn or whatever you want to call it, because that's their brothers and the money's their wealth. Do you see what I mean? So they'd only direct them to their own inns or hotels on the way in the pilgrimage. Do you know what I mean? You know, but that's where they got their wealth from, by robbing all the diamonds, golds and jewels off the pilgrims. Do you know what I mean? And they were ruthless with it. But obviously, like I said, how can you, you know, they write the history, so how can I prove that wrong? You can't. You just got to open your mind to what is going on. Do you know what I mean? And read history as it is. Do you know what I mean? Because it's all a lie. You know that anyway, yeah? But that's the real truth of Knights Templars. And they still do that today. Do you know what I mean? They rob you of your house. You know what I mean? They keep you living poor. Do you know what I mean? And they'll find that excuse or that way, because of that system, to keep you living poor. And like I said, at the end of the day, they, well, let me hold my phone steady, I won't really thingy anyway, you can read that bit. At the end of the day, like I said, they keep you living poor, you know, because they could if they wanted to, right? Everyone, say, like, who works from 9 till 3, right, could drop off at 12, get the same wage, yeah, and then spend the other hours with their family, and then they could employ another person from 12 till 3 and get paid the same wage. Do you know what I mean? But they won't. Do you know what I mean? They want you to keep living poor. Just look. All you'll do is live to work to supply them. And they don't work in Tesco's. They don't work in Asda. They don't work in Lidl's. They run it all. Do you know what I mean? They all got. That's why they've got all the top management jobs. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. You know, they run the councils, the infrastructure, but they're paid extra by the Freemason Lodge. Do you know what I mean? Because obviously all that studying they do, they get paid for that, yeah? You know, and all their businesses, like I said, keeps that money going to them, so it's extra money for them. So they're always on holidays, they can go to the pub when they want, you know, blah, 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 and it goes on and on and on. Do you know what I mean? And the money all flows up. But, yeah, that's your Knights Templar for you. They were just robbers, do you know what I mean? And people keep going, oh, they're good, they're this, that. They're not, do you know what I mean? You know, it's like Jimmy Savile, you know, oh yeah, come on, I'll just earn £50,000 doing a little marathon, do you know what I mean? I'm a good dude, do you know what I mean? But he wasn't, was he? And that's your Freemasons for you, you know? And that's in every town and city, do you know what I mean? When you get a bailiff knock on your door, that bailiff is just working for Freemasonry, do you know what I mean? Policeman knock on your door, Freemason, do you know what I mean? And they keep living and you know, they never investigate Freemasons, do you know what I mean? Even though they're the biggest corrupt, because they're the ones who are controlling it all. They deem what's fit to investigate, do you know what I mean? I'm going to do an upload soon anyway, yeah? Some of my all-time favourite videos, right? You know, there's a lot of corruption, a lot of you know, 100-page files, what were important got destroyed all of a sudden, you know, all of that sort of thing, you know, and that goes from Parliament right through to your councils, do you know what I mean? Councils right through to Parliament, police, social services, you know what I mean? The lot. And it's always the Masonic shush up, because that's what they do. That's all they do in life. I could have put it that way, really, sorry. This is a ritual of the second degree, and it shows you the steps, yeah? You know what I mean? Where you put it into your heel. I do that on my church video. If you look at my church video, you know what I mean? But this is like the steps in Masonry. You've got to give a step, then you've got to give a grip or a sign, a grip and then a password, do you know what I mean? But that's just what this is about. But this is what it's about. It's about keep you living poor, do you know what I mean? Where they could, you know, someone who's on a 9 till 5 could go halfway through the shift and then someone else take over and to keep the wage he was on and the other person, do you know what I mean? And spend more time with their family. But they don't want that, do you know what I mean? You know? They just want you to keep living in poor. You know, I mean, look at your MPs, what they get paid. Do you know what I mean? Look at why do you think, you know, like movie stars and football personalities, blah, 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 get paid so much money? Do you know what I mean? Because they're your entertainment. They're your, you know, they're your, oh, what are they bloody called? Bloody, they're your, they're your gladiators, you know, of old, you know, give people bread and water. Do you know what I mean? I mean, where can you justify paying someone $1 million, you know, X amount of £1 million to kick a ball around for 90 minutes, where you've got someone who's important to your life that stack the shelves, make sure the food gets to you, do you know what I mean, or working the till daily and living like a peasant is getting nothing. Do you see what I mean? You know, that's just crazy, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? But they don't want people thinking outside the box. Do you know what I mean? They want they want to dumb people. You know, they dumb people down. So what they do then, and I've proved it, and you can go see it in my videos. They take over the schools. Do you know what I mean? They take over your school councils and what is being fed to your children. Do you know what I mean? In the school. Do you know what I mean? You know, because they don't want you. You know, so everyone's getting that same education, yeah, of dumbing down each decade. You know what I mean? Is getting dumbed down and dumbed down and dumbed down, and you expect it. Do you know what I mean? Every time a little bit of freedom go, when that new person is born, doesn't miss that freedom because they don't know nothing about that freedom. Do you know what I mean? And that's what it's about. Do you know what I mean? They just keep taking the freedom every decade. You know, they don't, like I said, in the lodge or as Freemasons, there's no time. Do you know what I mean? They got all the time in the world, do you know what I mean? It's like, you know, if they've got a bad pope or a bad king, do you know what I mean? They'll either murder him or kill him anyway, regardless of whatever. But if anyone who isn't flowing with them, yeah, or the way they think, they'll assassinate him, right? You you know what I mean, or get rid of them. But what they'll try and do, which they've done over the years, and this is what they've been doing, is just putting their own people in power. Do you know what I mean? Replacing their own people with profane people. You know, any profane person that's in office, do you know what I mean? They're replacing them. Do you know what I mean? And that's all they're doing. They're just keeping the power every time. Yeah, every decade that goes past. Oops. Every decade that goes past, all they're doing is putting another Freemason in office, because they elect and pick who they want to put in the office. Do you know what I mean? This isn't really about this ritual, but I'm just letting, if you want to read it, you can. This is more about, you know, the Knights Templar. You know, this is where they get all their wealth, and the Freemasons get all their wealth again today in your town, in your city, by robbing you, the profane. Do you know what I mean? And they do it through parking tickets, through you know, all that sort of thing, what the bailiffs come at your door for, do you know what I mean, yeah? But you wouldn't see no bailiffs go to a Freemason store. See, what we need is studies, right, yeah? On the averages of studies, you know, a Freemason goes to court, are they getting away with it? Or are they getting fined, and, you know, do you know what I mean, yeah? But I don't know how to go about doing that. If I did, you know, the Freemasons wouldn't like it, obviously, do you know what I mean? Because that would open a big can of worms for them, do you know what I mean? Because they get away with everything because of a funny handshake, a silly little step, and a penal sign, do you know what I mean? And this is what they do over and over again, you know. And like I said, they shut, you know, they, like you, if you're against, like you report crime, for instance, yeah, and it's against a Freemason's son, for instance, like Lewis, right? Do you know what I mean? What they're going to do, they're going to send a couple of police around to try and dissuade you from taking the charge, yeah, right, to get you off. And then they say, oh, or they just simply say there's no evidence, yeah, where you go, oh, fucking no evidence, and you swallow it and you take that. Do you know what I mean? Because 2 policemen have said that to you. Do you know what I mean? So you swallow it. And that happens over and over and over again. You know what I mean? I'm not saying every case, do you know what I mean? Blah, blah. But most of it, especially when they, you know, because obviously a lot of Freemasons are told to keep, you know, if you do get in trouble, you will face, you know, punishment, blah, blah, blah. But you can get off, do you know what I mean? With, you know, with a handshake and a funny sign in the court, do you know what I mean? Before they even get into court, if that's a Freemason taking the case, they'll swap the judge out and things like that, do you know what I mean? Just so he does, you know, the brother a favour, you know what I mean? I've seen it, you know, I'm not talking shit here, I've seen that myself with my own frigging eyes, do you know what I mean? This is closing of the lodge, you know, in a certain knocks, you know, and a certain raising again, you know what I mean? But I'll post all these, this is all in the forum anyway, all this here, do you know what I mean? I'm still looking, yeah, I'm still going through my books. If you knew how vast my books are, it's unreal. But I'm still actually looking for where they get, you know, like 100,000, you know, as soon as they're raised to, you know, like a, this is what this is, a Bristol work, 3 craft ceremonies plus the installation. You know, they get £100,000, do you know what I mean, in their bank, tax-free, do you know what I mean? Because they've learned how to become an entered apprentice, you know, like an entered apprentice, and up they go. Well, it starts from Master Mason then upwards, obviously, but do you know what I mean? They're getting paid all the way, you know, all the while, the wage, do you know what I mean? And they're living, you know, that's why they live a good life, because they're paid, you know, and they're given houses, because they own all the fucking houses and all the property, do you know what I mean? Like, again, I can prove it, you know what I mean? Like a certain drug, you know, say certain drug dealers supposed to lose the council houses, but they don't. They get put into another council house. Do you know what I mean? And they don't go homeless or nothing like that because they're Freemasons. Do you see what I mean? And they, you know, they run the Great Yarmouth with an iron fist, so they fucking help them. Do you know what I mean? Which it shouldn't happen. Do you know what I mean? But because they're Freemasons, they get all the preferences to the houses and everything else within, you know, our district or borough or whatever you call it. You know what I mean? You know, I've got loads of stuff I could do. You know, this is what's in here anyway. These are the first. I do post these rituals, so, you know, and like I said, they're paid for this. Do you think they, you know, they learn all this spiel? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? The knocks and all the rest of it. Do you think they do all this? Do you think they do all this for nothing? No, they don't. You know, it's done for a reason, you know what I mean, and they're paid for it, and they keep getting paid for their silence, do you know what I mean, yeah, because they would lose their houses, which are, you know, which are given to them through life, do you know what I mean, because they've already owned it, because the previous owner was a Freemason and donated it to the lodge, or, you know, it was willed to the lodge many, many, many years ago. Do you know what I mean? And that's all it is, and they just took over everything, you know, they own, you know, your estate is owned by Freemasonry, do you know what I mean? You know, and you'll get that all over. And it's just corruption after corruption after corruption, and they got no, you know, they're a culpability for nothing, not one thing, because they got a funny handshake, a silly little step, and a load of brothers that are policemen, drug lords, and fucking God knows whatever else, standing toe to toe in the fucking lodge. Do you know what I mean? That includes magistrates, and, you know, which is shopkeepers, by the way, Freemason shop owner keepers. Do you know what I mean? They're your magistrates, because they go, yeah, do you want to, you know, hello brother, do you want to become a magistrate? There's money in it, you know, you get some money for it, blah blah blah, you know. And also that give us the control. So if a brother goes to court, you can always get him off. Do you know what I mean? And that's how it runs, you know. And it goes on and on and on. We're all on the end of the shit stick. We've got to change it. You know, you've got to oust them out of your councils. You've got to oust them out of your school curriculum, where they're the ones setting your kids' education. Do you know what I mean? I mean, why are they learning about Romans marching across the world? That doesn't. In fact, in history, where is the Masonic history? If they built everything, which they did, you know, like St Paul's Cathedral, Tower of London or London Bridge, all of that, yeah, castles and God, where is the Masonic history in that? Do you know what I mean? You know, where are they? You know, there's no. Why ain't there no Masonic history taught? Do you know what I mean?
And I just want to jump in on it. And the reason you don't have any history, and I ain't sure if I said it here, some of the stuff I'm like said at the beginning is a sort of a repeat, but there's no history or Masonic history, because then you've got something to point a finger at, haven't you? Because if you find out they are responsible for the Second World War, the First World War, and every fucking war, south or north, you've got something to point a finger at, and they're not looking good some more. They're not so looking so charitable, are they? Do you see what I mean? And that's what it's all about, you know what I mean? So look, they do everything under cloak of darkness, do you know what I mean? All skullduggery, you know, like I said, you can put 50,000 profane people in a room, stick 20 Freemasons in there, and those 20 Freemasons can sort themselves out into a group of 20 Freemasons against that 50 profane crowd. And that's what they do, you know, that's what they do. Do you know what I mean? They can do that in pitch black, because they've got sensors. What they do with their sensors, you know, touch, feel, even the smells, you know what I mean? So they know how to distinguish themselves from profane people. And that's why I say this world is either profane people or Freemasons, and that is the only two different people on this planet. And people can go, oh, this, that, and they're in, you know, because it don't matter if you're an Indian, a Chinese, or whatever. Do you know what I mean? If you ain't a Freemason, you're profane. Do you know what I mean? But if you're a Freemason brother, Chinese, Japanese, German, whatever, you're a brother. You're a Freemason brother, and they ain't going to mistreat you or do any untoward business towards you, because you're a Freemason brother. Do you see what I mean? And that's how they distinguish between, you know, us and them. Do you know what I mean? Also, I just found out today. Now, no one in my family wears glasses, right? I do, because I'm old now, but so be careful when you go to the doctors or the opticians. Do you know what I mean? Because when that optician come here, he ain't going to send you away, because if he doesn't give you any glasses, he's not earning any money. Do you know what I mean? So when you go to get your eyes tested, they're more than likely fine, but he'll tell you this, that and the other, and you'll put glasses on because it gives him money in his pocket. Do you see what I mean? That's how crazy it is. Do you know what I mean? Absolute craze, you know. You keep going to these opticians and they're just handing glasses out, same as COVID vaccines and the rest of it, because it bloody gives them money in the pocket, doesn't it? You know, to say what they got to say. We know that, you know. Anyway, I'll go back to this and I'll let you carry on. Like I said, but I am here. I am, you know, I'm listening to this myself. Obviously, you know, I've been to make a coffee, ring my boy and that, and do bits and pieces. But I am here. But like I said, you know, this is why there's no Masonic history. Why? Because they were involved in the First World War, the Second World War. They were the Tudors. Do you know what I mean? You can go back even for, they were the kings and the queens, and you can research that, where, you know, Prince Philip and all the rest, you know, I'm going Prince Philip because that's all I can remember. But all them kings, you know, King Louis, King whatever, they were all Freemasons, you know what I mean? And they were aristocracy, do you know what I mean? Again, you can go look at Sean Harros, he's the best, you know, for that sort of thing. But this is what it's about, you know what I mean? The aristocracy still rules today as it did centuries ago. There's no different. They just come in different names. Do you know what I mean? Different names, same people responsible for everything. Do you know what I mean? And that's within your towns and cities, and they all answer up to every, you know, the higher elites and all that, if you want to call it the elites, but they're all on the same level because they're all one big family. Do you know what I mean? And they're trying to pin you down now, you know, because once you start learning that they are responsible for wars, you know, and they're like, you know, they bomb their own, you know, they bomb their own people. Do you know what I mean? You know, like 9/11 and all that, just to start wars. What profits them? Do you know what I mean? In some way, you know, I mean, it's more way above what I think, because I always think, you know, I always say investigate your own town and your own city. You know, I can't do nothing about 9/11. Do you know what I mean? I can't do nothing about what's that war going on now? I forgot. Well, there's a load of wars going on in there, but you know, like the Ukraine or whatever. You know what I mean? I can't do nothing over there. Do you know what I mean? But that is a Masonic war. I know it is. Do you know what I mean? But I can do something within my own town and my own city. I can investigate it. Do you know what I mean? And I know who's who and what's what. Do you know what I mean? And once that, you know, once you get enough of that and the common denominator and whatever, then, you know, like I said, so open your own profane lodge. You know what I mean? And I think I go on about it in this video, you know, and other videos. You know, do your own investigations. Do you know what I mean? Don't rely on what I'm saying. I could be lying. Do you know what I mean? I could be bullshitting. So do your own investigations. But what I'm saying is, I'm giving you a foothold of what's corruptible, and you've got to do it yourself. You've got to, you know. But like I said, once you start on that path, and they know you are, you'll become a perjured individual. They will hassle you, and they will make rumours about you to get you killed, hurt, or maimed. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, let's carry on. I'll leave it going.
You know.
I'll put it back a bit.
You know exactly what. Where is the Masonic history? If they built everything, which they did, you know, like St Paul's Cathedral, Tower of London or London Bridge, all of that, yeah, castles and God, where is the Masonic history in that? Do you know what I mean? You know, where are the, you know, there's no, why ain't there no Masonic history taught? Do you know what I mean?
It's all hished up.
You know, they know exactly why. Because if you knew that Hitler was a Freemason, yeah, then you're going to be going, Hitler was a Freemason, this is what Freemasons do, and you're going to start pointing at him, do you see what I mean, and accusing them, do you know what I mean? But they won't do that. See, that's why they don't want you to know that Savile was a Freemason. They don't want you to know some of the mass murderers that have gone shooting around schools and things like that are Freemasons, yeah? They want you to keep it shh, you know what I mean? Yeah, and people like that, when there's a scandal or anything, will kill anything around. That's why they didn't want you to know about the Hillsborough, do you see what I mean? Or Dunblane, do you know what I mean? All to do with Freemasons, do you know what I mean? Cover-ups and, you know, shush-ups and all that, you know what I mean? But anyway, that's about it. I'm gonna leave that there, because I don't know if I'll be able to, you know, get up on bloody thingy. But that's what Knights Templar's all about, and that's still today, you know. Like I said, criminals are habitual. Do you know what I mean? They do not change from one bit to the next. Do you know what I mean? They're habitual, yeah, and they always do the same thing. You know, is their obligation. I'll get that on there. The obligation. But this is the thing. The great architect of the universe. That's their God. You know what I mean? Which is Lucifer. But anyway. So this is the obligation, the first degree, yeah, what they have to swear to the worshipful master, you know what I mean? You know, and they obey everything above them. Anyone above them, give a sign, a penal sign above them, they will do as they're told, because they're an army, yeah? You know, it's like a sergeant disobeying a captain, or a captain disobeying a colonel. That ain't going to happen, do you know what I mean? Because it's an army. Because they will be penalised, they get an internal court. Like I said, they're a different society to us, you know. And what we've got to do is show what is us, what is them, what they're actually up to in your towns, what they're actually up to in your cities, and what they're doing in your counties. You know what I mean? Whether that's Norfolk, Suffolk, do you know what I mean? Essex, blah, blah, blah. Because what they're up to ain't good, you know? You know? You know, there's more of their code, like I showed you about that the other day, but you can work it out anyway, do you know what I mean? I think that'd do. Yeah, so that's it. Yeah, that's what Knights Templars are. The Knights Templars used to just ride with the pilgrims, get their trust, gain their trust, see how much wealth they had, and then rob them. That's how they become so powerful. Do you know what I mean? Because they robbed all the diamonds, all the gold, all the jewels, and then they bought all the hoteliers. That's why they still own the hotels and the pubs and the clubs now, do you know what I mean? Because they know the profane will always go drinking and need a place to stay, do you know what I mean? That's why they own funeral homes, do you know what I mean? Because everyone who dies, they own the money, the Freemasons do. That's why they own the funeral homes. Check it out, try and prove me wrong. Show me if, you know, someone who owns a funeral home who's not a Freemason. Good luck with that, by the way. You know, things like that. And also, obviously, if you own a funeral home, or, you know, you control the cremation area, you can do what Jimmy Savile does. Abuse the corpse, take the heads for rituals, things like that. Do you see what I mean? If you want a body and you want, you know, it's there on the table, you got to get your candidate to stab that body. Do you know what I mean? Where are you going to get the body from? You need to control, you know, the morgue or whatever else, and then, because obviously it's a closed coffin, you don't know what's happened to that body. That's even if there's a body in there. Do you know what I mean? Because they've used it for a ritual to do whatever. Do you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. You know, this is what they do and can do. You know, but people go, "Nah, don't talk shit." But look what Savile did. Do you know what I mean? And many, many more people throughout history, what they did, which is, you know, like the Moors murderers. Do you know what I mean? You know, all of that sort of thing. You know, the West family. Do you know what I mean? People are evil, yeah. But if you've got a group of people, you know, like Freemasons, that are really intent on evil, yeah, that don't give a shit because they support Lucifer and all the other dodgy things they do, yeah. Do you think they're really going to care about one profane person at all? No, because they learn and brought up every decade how to hate the profane, you know, and rule over us. You know what I mean? We're nothing to them. We're nothing. Secrets, first degree, look. And I'm going to end here. There we go.
By the way,
see, and there's a grip that's open. You'll have to work that out yourself again. I'll show you.
the grip demands a word highly prized amongst Masons as a safeguard to their privileges. Do you see what I mean? So they all got privileges depending on what level they are. Do you know what I mean? And this is what I'm saying. See, they're all on the take, yeah, and they're all scared of losing them privileges. You know, like I said, they've got get out of jail free cards. You will be protected if someone's attacking you. You know, we'll have 100 Masons at your doorstep. Well, depending on the length of their cable tow, protecting you. Do you know what I mean? And that's all they do, protect themselves. You know what I mean? And if you're sitting in there as a profane person, you know what I mean? How many people are going to come and help you? Step up for you, like a Freemason does for a Freemason. You know what I mean? Anyway, I'll carry on.
How we do it the other day. So we, you know, foot, arm, elbow, toe, knuckle. Do you know what I mean? All of that sort of stuff. But anyway, there you go. Have a great day, people. Remember, I love you. And if you ain't, trust me, if you ain't studying Freemasonry now within your town or city, you ain't doing nothing. Do you know what I mean? If you're still going on about the moon landings, flat earth, that is all there for a Freemason distraction, because they don't want you looking at their towns, they don't want you looking at their cities, they don't want you going, who does roll our town, who controls our towns, who runs the council, is it a majority of Freemasons? Oh look, there's a majority of Freemasons in every town and city, do you know what I mean, all working together, you know what I mean, and then if you start cross-referencing who people who get off and who do this and that, you get quite, you know, like I said, it's quite astounding, to believe it or not. But anyway, there you go. Have a great day. I'll leave this one. I will thank you, brother, to advance to me as an apprentice. This is where he does the first step, you see. You know what I mean? This step demands a sign, so then he gives the sign. You know what I mean? Will you give me the sign? Do you know what I mean? The sign demands a grip. Will you give me that grip, which is the knuckle, you know? And then that grip demands a word, and that's obviously the password, and on it goes. You see what I mean? And this is what it's all about, you know. And they do that every time. Do you know what I mean? And they're doing it around you in the pub, in the club, on the streets. It doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean? And that's what it is. That's what it's all about. Anyway, have a great day, folks. I love you all. Remember, the resistance is growing. The profane lodges. Now remember, a profane lodge, it only takes one person to open a profane lodge. And all you've got to do is watch the Masons in your town and city. Do you know what I mean? You know? one profane person, that's all it takes, has got the balls and the galls to watch the Freemasons within your town and city, and it'll soon come together. Anyway, like I said, Lodge Watch is coming soon, and I'll show you what the score is with that. Anyway, have a great day, folks.
Like I said, you've just got to have the balls to research, yeah? But if you do, keep shh and keep it to yourself. Don't trust anyone, do you know what I mean? You know, because like I said, the Freemasons have eyes and ears everywhere. Do you know what I mean? And I mean literally everywhere. And if you want to learn about Freemasons, like I said, you know, they got all the signs here, what I do you know what I mean? Illuminati and Freemasons, get in there. Do you know what I mean? I think, look, Masonry within the UK, so I'll just, you know, you've got worldwide as well, but just do it by the numbers, and that'll soon weigh you up to what it is. You know what I mean? You know, start off with number 1, you know what I mean, and just go through it, you know, and that'll tell you what Freemasonry is doing within the UK. Do you know what I mean? Look, condemns Mason. Look, it's telling you there. Look, the Daniel Morgan inquiry draft report condemns Masons in the police. Do you know what I mean? Freemason PM Tony Blair covering up paedophile scandals. Do you know what I mean? And it goes on and on and on and on. You know, document exposing paedophiles in Parliament and the British royal family. See, this is what's controlling. They're all Freemasons. Do you know what I mean? You know. Look, Freemasons, 11 officers investigating Daniel Morgan's murder were members of a secret organisation. Do you know what I mean? And that's where they're shushing up investigations, and they're shushing them up and they've been shushing them up for decades. Do you know what I mean? Including 9/11, Hillsborough, you know, and all the rest of them. Do you know what I mean? But like I said, just go through the numbers. Do you know what I mean? And it's there. You've only got to read it. It doesn't take a lot. They're God go to, yeah. Remember, no master or fellow craft receives any cowan. This is what they do, look, to work in his society or company, nor send none of his servants to work with cowans. See, and we're the cowans. Do you know what I mean? Get that? Cowans, profane. Do you know what I mean? That is all you profane people. No master or fellow craft receive any cowans to work in his society or company, nor send none of his servants to work with cowans. Do you see what I mean? That's what they look at you as. There's only, like I said, there's 2 societies in this globe or world or whatever you want to call it, and that's Freemasons versus the profane. And the Freemasons have got us by the bollocks. Do you know what I mean? You know, we need to screw out of their compass and change it. Everything which tends to combine men by stronger ties is useful to humanity. In this point of view, Masonry is entitled to respect. Do you see what I mean? Remember, they're entitled to your respect, though I thought respect was earned. And ask them why they don't accept the profane or cowans to work for them. You know what I mean? They won't, because they don't give a shit about you, because they'd rather hire their own people. Do you know what I mean? And when they say you won't work in this town anymore, they fucking mean it. Why would a society need to be secret? Why have secret handshakes? Why agree to lie for another in court of law? And then you just go on, you know, and it's here, look, you know what I mean? So with 80,000 Freemason members in the UK, along with 10,000 lodges, and remember these numbers are off now, and everything else, it's supposed to believe Freemasons didn't influence the public, media and everything else in the UK, including the USA, Australia and many more countries. And I think my numbers are well off, which they are. And then, again, just go through it, you know, it's all there. You know, it's there in pictures as well, look, you know. Do you know what I mean? It goes on, you know, Freemasons run the government and Parliament, as it says above, you know. And then I name all the Freemasons that are in government, you know. Like I said, you go Conservative, Tory. Conservative and Tory is just Freemasons, both Masonic parties as one working together. You know, once you start working out, you know, and this is what it's about. You know, look, 130 paedophiles, look, convicted councillors, what run your town, and cities who are trusted. How many are Freemasons, do you think? They don't mention who the Freemasons are, but I'll bet you the 130 that were convicted were Freemasons or something to do with it. You know, lists of MPs convicted of sex offenders. Again, MPs are Freemasons. Do you know what I mean? It goes on and on and on, you know. Just crazy stuff. Anyway, come and read it. Like I said, do you know what I mean? Oh, there she is. Oh, baby. My subjects are waking up. They know the truth. The profane are waking up. We must shut We must shush and silence Stuart McIntosh. Oh, you know what I mean? But fuck you and fuck them. No, I meant not you lot. I meant you know what I mean? Anyway, have a great day. Sorry I was swearing there, do you know what I mean? But they do wind me up, these Freemasons. They think they can fucking ruin people's lives, do you know what I mean? And like I said, I've got a story to tell. And wow, what a story, you know what I mean? But there you go. Like I said, I'm going to be a legend, my story in this town. Well, it wouldn't be because the Freemasons won't promote it, do you know what I mean? But like I said, at the end of the day, I've got a big story to tell. It's a fucking good one. Anyway, have a great day, folks.